In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Authorities warning the public this person they believe impersonated police, was impersonating law enforcement, even having an SUV with what looked like lights and sirens on the top of it, so that when they came to the door, authorities believe it's quite possible they believed that the person at their front door was a law enforcement officer. And that's the person who authorities believe carried out both of these, as you said, politically motivated shootings. This person is still at large. As you can imagine, an incredibly robust manhunt is underway.
The suspect is also a member of the governor's Workforce Development Board.
Wow.
The governor has no interaction with this person, and as far as his staffers know, he's never had any interaction with the suspect.
I doubt it.
You are fake news.
I've become friends with school shooters.
Very fake news.
Definitely worth checking into.
I'm a knucklehead at times.
Bingo.
I'm calling Trump on you, you illegal motherfucker!
Hell yes!
Shut up, faggot.
Jeez.
All right, America, go to the YouTube right now. Skag free, whoever he is.
Dude, Matt straight up sucks.
How dare you?
All right, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live!
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Sunday, June 15th, 2025. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, including my dad, who is tuning in as usual tonight. Sitting shotgun tonight is our friend, Joshy Boy. Welcome back.
Hey.
I was hoping you'd wear the jersey, though.
Caniga.
No, I'd have to throw that in the washer.
Can't do that every time. All right. Keep people on their toes. Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I may be a little bit underprepared tonight because of a very busy Father's Day weekend, so there might be a little bit more duct tape than usual, but that is the fatherly spirit anyhow. But the question of the weekend, was it even a gaffe?
I've become friends with school shooters.
Is Tim Walz actually friends with mass shooters? Did he mean exactly what he said? We'll go through all of this very bizarre Minnesota politician assassination case. I gather you have not looked at this story, so I'll try to make sense of this because it's a crazy case where everybody is blaming their enemies for this guy. If you're on the left, he's clearly a right-wing MAGA extremist. If you're on the right, he is clearly Tim Walz's best friend. So it's very hard.
This is the first I'm hearing of it, so I have no idea what's going on.
All right. Well, you will offer the layman perspective. The people who have lives, who don't pay attention to the news every 5 seconds, you'll offer that perspective.
Yeah. Yes.
Actually, you did go out to the protest in Chattanooga yesterday.
Yes,
so we'll get to that. Your Chattanooga No Kings protest experience. In about 30 minutes, my friend Justin Nazaroff from Phoenix Ammunition will join. He was also at a No Kings protest in suburban Detroit yesterday. So he will tell us what happened there. Later in the show, we'll check in on World War III watch with Israel and Iran bombing each other over the weekend. Plus, we have some other items, including, of course, hoax hate. Another unfortunate N-word drop. In an academic context, a teacher was reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and he said the N-word that's in To Kill a Mockingbird. He's fired now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that later in the show. We'll check in with the Superchats mid-show and to close as well. Speaking of, hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show. You can do that one time or recurring for as little as $1 a month over on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/support. Support for the show not only helps me sustain, but it pays the people who make this show possible. There are perks available for your support as well. Or check out the merch store. Lots of great designs for t-shirts and mugs and more. Likewise, merch sales help not only my operation, but they support the designers who made these designs, all of whom are listeners of this stream. mattchristiansenmedia.com/shop. Both of those links are right there on the homepage, mattchristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay. If you can't spell my confusing name, got to say hello to our friendly listener-owned business for the evening as well. That is Hope Innovations. Have you ever wanted to grow your own garden, but you didn't feel like you had the space? With food prices rising and chemicals being added to our food every day, you might consider adding a hydroponic garden system to your home. Grow clean and fresh produce all year round with the Eden Tower from Hope Innovations. When it comes to growing your own food, invest in the best system out there. Discover the joy of regularly having freshly harvested salads, homegrown herbs, tomatoes. I almost said potatoes. Potato, tomato. You might be able to grow potatoes with it. I don't know. Definitely peppers, though, and more with your very own hydroponic system. Engineered to be elegant and practical, the Eden Tower stands above the competition with its patented cup system that allows you to drop a seed and go. You do not need a green thumb to easily grow delicious and nutritious food. Business has been so good over at Hope that they are now sold out on the kits until July. It was June. They're still a little bit behind. So now it's July, but you can still get an order in for delivery in July, 50% down now, 50% due at shipping in July, and you still get that $200 listener discount. That's right. Listeners of this show get $200 off an Eden Tower hydroponics kit from Hope Innovations through a listener exclusive link available only on my website. Head on over to mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals, find the Hope Innovations section, click the link, $200 off an Eden Tower hydroponics kit. You can get started growing your own food easily and simply today or very soon in July, but sooner rather than later. Find everything you need from our friends at Hope Innovations, plus all the other great offers from the rest of our friendly listener-owned businesses. mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals, deals by listeners for listeners. And of course, they have those awesome new colognes over at Hero Soap Company in my signature scents, Timberline and Old West. You can get not only those colognes, but all the classic offerings from Hero Soap Company, bar soap, liquid soap, shampoo, conditioner, and more. 10% off using promo code MCListener at herosoapcompany.com. Promo code MCListener, 10% off, herosoapcompany.com. All right, this story out of suburban Minneapolis over the weekend is completely insane. And as I mentioned, both sides are blaming each other for this murderer. So the former Democrat Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, that's the woman on the right here. Her name is or was Melissa Hortman. And she and her husband were murdered by this gunman at their home in the early morning hours yesterday, Saturday. So late Friday night, early Saturday morning.
Gotcha.
Just prior to killing them, this gunman also shot the guy on the left, Democrat Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman. So these are both members of the Minnesota State Legislature, state lawmakers. Shot him and his wife while they were protecting their daughter who has spina bifida, apparently. But they actually survived. He did not succeed in killing the guy on the left and his wife. They are apparently stable in the hospital. But as I mentioned, both of these shootings took place at the homes of these state lawmakers. And the murderer was dressed as a policeman, not just dressed as, but he had a car equipped with a whole light kit as though it was a real police car. He was in a police uniform. And I'll show, well, maybe I'll pull it up here. He looked like he was straight out of a horror movie because he was wearing a freak latex mask. I guess
I saw that at the very least.
So he's, I guess, concealing his identity or attempting to with this freak latex mask. We'll get more to what exactly he did to commit these murders in a moment. But let's back up a little bit because Governor Tim Walz called a press conference on Saturday morning to make the announcement that this had just happened the night prior. And he said these were politically motivated murders.
My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband Mark were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination.
Okay, how do we know that it was political? Now, Walz wasn't totally specific in the press conference. So far, investigators haven't been necessarily either. As information comes out, they are saying borderline conflicting things about how they got their information, where they got their information. But of course, there are pieces. First of all, anytime you murder not one, but two members of the state legislature, or you attempt to, and you do that in sequence, that's unlikely to be a coincidence. The thing that most apparently links these two people together as targets is politics. It's being in the state legislature and being members of the same party as well. But according to investigators, the shooter left a manifesto. Now, that's what they said yesterday. It's since evolved to, it's kind of like the Nashville manifesto. It's a manifesto, but they said they found a manifesto in his car at the scene of this former House Speaker's house where he murdered her. Now, as of like a press conference earlier today, they're saying, oh, it's not really a manifesto. It's more of like a whole list of targets that we found in the car and also that we found in other places that they searched, like they searched where he lives and stuff.
Gotcha.
So they've pieced together a list of targets that he supposedly had written down. And so he had politicians written down, mostly, if not exclusively Democrats, they say, without letting us look at this list. People like Ilhan Omar, people like Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, other members of the federal congressional delegation from Minnesota. Also, Planned Parenthood locations or offices or clinics, and pro-choice people, because supposedly he hates abortion is the claim.
I don't know, dude. This sounds real suspect.
You haven't even heard. So we're not even anywhere into the weirdest parts of this story. So everybody jumps on like MAGA extremist because he's targeting Democrats. I mean, okay, it could be. I'm not claiming to know everything about it. It's just there's a lot of weird stuff pointing the other direction too. We'll get to that in a moment. Very curious and confusing, this guy. So about the guy. Well, the guy is identified as 57-year-old Vance Boelter. I shouldn't say the guy, the alleged. This guy murdered them. He is the murderer. He remains on the run after escaping police. Police did find him at the house of the woman that he murdered, the former House Speaker. But he escaped. Okay? More on that in a moment. This guy, this athlete right here, outmaneuvered police.
And he's how old again?
57. Vance Boelter. So he remains on the run. There's a manhunt underway for almost 48 hours now.
Okay.
Boelter's wife was detained yesterday morning during a traffic stop near Onamia, Minnesota. So where these murders took place are like northern suburbs of the Twin Cities. The wife was out like an hour north of there in rural Minnesota, Onamia, Minnesota. It's well outside of the Twin Cities. I guess she lives there? Sort of unclear. Boelter himself lives in Camden, Minnesota, which is right where these shootings took place, like Twin City suburbs. So apparently the husband and wife had been living separately. At least then there's a roommate. We haven't even discussed the roommate yet.
All right.
Okay. But Jenny and Vance, so husband and wife, murderer and his wife were supposedly running this security company together. And according to a biography on that company's website, Vance, the murderer, was handling security operations all over the world. Africa, the Middle East. He was traveling internationally handling security details for the sketchiest parts of the world, like the Congo and places in the Middle East.
What technology they have up in the Congo that requires him to be there?
Apparently he's the best security guard that Congolese money can buy. Is that the term, Congolese?
Did they give him extra spears?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he was bringing new technology into that ancient world. But Jenny is listed as CEO of the company, so whatever's going on, they claim to be running this business together, well, I guess also living separately. All right. There was also a vehicle discovered this morning. Now, this is separate. As I'll get to, he drove with his fake police car to the former House Speaker's house, shot her up, and then fled, and they found that fake police car there, which is where some of these manifesto documents were recovered from. But earlier this morning, they found another car connected to him. I don't know what that means to say connected to. I assume registered to him, or he owns multiple cars or something like that. But this was found abandoned in Sibley County, Minnesota, southwest Minneapolis suburb. Neighbors in that area report hearing gunshots around the neighborhood early this morning, but there's no confirmation that anything like that happened, at least that I've seen. He was walking around with this cowboy hat. Have you seen the cowboy hat?
No, I
After he
haven't.
committed the murders, he was caught on some security camera wearing this cowboy. They say they found the cowboy hat in the area of this this abandoned vehicle of his that they found.
It sounds so bizarre to me, man.
But Boelter himself, he's at large. He's nowhere to be found. So let's get into a little bit more about the killing itself, the attempted killing at one house, the successful killing at another, and then the manifesto. So when Vance committed these murders and attempted murders, again, he showed up at the house. This is an example of a car that was featured on their security company website. Looks very much like a police car, although it doesn't have a police department label on the side of it. But still, you got all the police car equipment, including the lights up top.
Yeah.
So he's wearing this police uniform, this weird mask over his face. He's driving this SUV that looks like a police car with police-like features. And then he's captured on the home security system at I don't know if this is at Hoffman or which house this is at, but he's at one of their houses. Yeah. He's captured, looking like a horror movie character. And so he first goes to Hoffman's home. That's the state senator he attempted to kill but did not successfully kill. He shoots the husband and wife. He leaves. As I mentioned, they live. They're in stable condition at the hospital. Then he goes to Hortman's home. He shoots Hortman and her husband dead. But while he was there, police happened to come by.
Really?
What that means, I'll explain more. They weren't called to go there. They happened to come by based on their precautionary intuition, they say. And they encountered him there. He immediately fired at them.
Uh-huh.
A gunfight ensued. He fled back inside the house and escaped on foot. And he's still out there somewhere. More on that oddity in a moment. So he leaves his fake police car there because he ran away. And in his car, police find some of these manifesto materials, which they're now describing as a list of names, presumably targets. Again, Minnesota members of Congress, people like that, Planned Parenthood stuff. And then also in the car, this is where it gets weird or weirder. Look, he also had all these handmade No Kings signs. And of course, you were at one of the No Kings protests yesterday. So what is this? Is he a No Kings? Was he going straight from the murders to the protest? What was he doing?
Maybe he was going to one of them. I did see people making signs as they were there, but they were larger than just sheets of paper saying No Kings.
He made several by hand. They're all just on like 8.5 by 11 normal printing paper, taking like a Sharpie and just writing No Kings over and over again.
I know this resulted in the death of 2 people, but this whole thing just sounds really suspect.
It gets weirder. These might be copies, though. Maybe he didn't do these all by hand because these two...
No, they look like copies.
Yeah, they look very similar. He might have done it by hand and then copied it a bunch of times is maybe how he did it. Okay. So a lot of questions still unanswered. I'm going to try to consider them all, at least as I've been asking them, reading about this today. First, what are the motives? What is the political perspective, if any, here? So to say that this guy is a right-winger, again, if you consult left-wing X or Twitter, that's what you're going to read. Clearly a MAGA extremist. Well, it's several factors. It's the apparent targeting of Democrats and an anti-abortion view. And we can't see that list of Democrats that he supposedly made yet, but reporters tracked down a man named David Carlson. And David Carlson has been great friends with Vance Boelter, the shooter, since they were both in 4th grade. Lifelong best friends, he says. Boelter was apparently living with him, just had a single room in this guy's house. They're described as roommates in the reporting. So this guy's both like a family man with a bunch of kids and a wife, but also a roommate of his friend since the 4th grade. Okay. His friend, David Carlson, says Vance used to talk about, he hated abortion so much way back in the 90s, but he hasn't really said anything about that in recent times.
Was there any beliefs about abortion? Or?
Yeah, he was a strong, but he hasn't talked about abortion for years. I mean, this goes back through the 90s. He really hated abortion, but we hardly ever talked. I haven't talked really about abortion for him for years.
Okay, first of all, you need to stop working at Papa John's because it look like you eat half the products, bro.
Hey, I bet it is hard to resist when you're working with Papa John. According to one reporter, though, this friend, David Carlson, says that Vance Boelter was a big Trump supporter, but he also didn't ever discuss local or state politics.
We even asked about Mr. Boelter's political affiliations, and David Carlson, once again his roommate and best friend, known him since 4th grade, did say Boelter voted for Trump and that he was a strong supporter, but he hasn't really talked about politics lately. And from what his friend knew, he had no idea that Boelter was interested at all in local or state lawmakers as well. His friend didn't even know the names of the lawmakers who were attacked today.
Okay. As much as she's squinting, even she can see through that bullshit right there. All right.
Yeah, he loved Trump, but he rarely talked about politics, at least state and local.
Bull fucking shit. Yeah, okay. Right.
Now, what is also weird about that characterization, you can watch this roommate, Papa John's man, David Carlson, best friend since the 4th grade guy, talking outside his house to reporters for a long time, like 10 plus minutes, and saying all sorts of stuff. Unless I've missed it, at no point have I heard he himself say, Vance Boelter loved Trump, voted Trump, big Trump supporter. It is only a reporter's secondhand description of him saying that. I'm not saying he didn't say it, because the clip might be out there and maybe I just missed it. But I do find it odd that for the claim that he was a big Trump guy, what I've seen is reference to this reporter or other reporters saying that David Carlson said that, but I have not heard David Carlson say that. Maybe I just missed it.
I don't know, man. This whole thing does it get weirder from here?
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's the case that he's a right winger. To say that he's a left winger, again, he has these No Kings flyers all over his car. What's that about? But he was also very strangely, this is the Tim Walz angle. He was an appointee of Governor Tim Walz in 2019 to the Minnesota Workforce Development Board. That is it's an advisory body with a few dozen members, 50 or 60 members, that focuses on helping the governor develop state workforce policy. This isn't like some cabinet position or some spot working with Tim Walz personally every single day. However, in general, governors pick people with whom they're friendly, with whom they have similar views. But the governor's office is saying, I have no idea who this guy is. We've never interacted with him in our entire lives. Well, you're the ones who nominated him to this board, though. Yeah. So why? And even politics aside, how this guy got on a business advisory committee at all, given his business track record, which I've hardly even discussed yet, makes no sense. But I'll get to that in a moment. There's also some speculation that the woman who was murdered, Melissa Hortman, the former Speaker of the House, was targeted because she was the sole Democrat vote in the Minnesota House recently to pass the state budget bill. The reason that was controversial is because the bill included a provision to remove health care benefits for illegal immigrants. That was a Republican proposal, obviously. But she, in order to avoid a government shutdown, bucked her party, agreed to vote along with Republicans to pass the budget bill that included a denial of health care services to illegal immigrants. And here she was just the other week describing how it was a very hard decision, but she had to do what was necessary to avoid that government shutdown.
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
This is why you don't include women in politics right there. She's crying over this shit. Excuse me if the illegal immigrants can't get health care. Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
She didn't cry as much as the people at No Kings. We'll get to that later in the show. So I thought she maintained her composure very well, all things considered.
She was crying.
Beyond the politics, okay, there's all sorts of personal questions about this guy. What exactly is the family situation here? Because, where do I, it's down here. That's right. A photo of the family. Okay. Mm-hmm. You got best friend roommate guy, David Carlson, saying, he's just a good man, just a family guy. No indication he was ever going to do something like this. you got this photo from Facebook and Daily Beast and other reporting. This is the family in 2018. So unless I'm misunderstanding, it looks like 5 kids, assuming those are all his children plus his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And this photo was 6-7 years ago. He's 57. All these kids are probably adults or very near adults by now. So maybe the kids are out of the house. But what is family man, still married, running a company with his wife? Why is he living with roommate guy something like 60, 70, 80 miles away from his wife, maybe the rest of his family? Things happen. I get it. Maybe they were just living separately, even if they were still technically legally married. Maybe they were just in a rough patch. Maybe there was a business reason they were living separately. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But it is weird to still be running the business with the wife in that circumstance. I don't know. But here's the question. Is he even running a business? Okay. Is he really training the Congo people with spears, as you mentioned? Because best friend roommate guy David Carlson says Vance Boelter, man, he worked all kinds of odd jobs. He had this security business, but that wasn't even really real. It was just some like half-baked idea of his.
He was living in Bloomington. He was a manager of a food place. And then he quit the job and he went down to Africa, got things going down there, said he wanted to start his own companies.
So the security company, was that fully formed, or was that just an idea
that
still?
Was just some fantasy. It was you talk about it, but there was no movement on that part.
Gosh, man, every breath is just labored in that guy.
It's been a lot of Papa John's, man. He's tried everything on the menu at least once, for sure.
It's going to take him 10 years to clean that glass up. Anyway, go ahead.
If that description is accurate, like, oh, he worked all these weird jobs and he had these like kooky business ideas that never really panned out. Why was this guy on some sort of governor's business advisory committee? What business success did he have that would warrant him being on that? Mm-hmm. Who, if it wasn't Tim Walz, who identified this guy for business success and some sort of role in advising the governor in matters related to businesses and workforce and all that? How did he get on that committee? That doesn't make any sense. And
None of this makes any sense.
Then there's the policing and the escape. So on Saturday morning, police gave a description of events with the governor. According to police, they, as I mentioned, they just happened to encounter this shooter, Vance Boelter, by visiting Melissa Hortman's home. She was murdered when they got there. They visited her home as a precautionary matter. They were not called. It wasn't a 911 dispatch. They just thought, wow, there was a shooting at that other legislator's home. We should go check on Melissa Hortman. And then when they showed up, the guy just escaped on foot.
The circumstances that unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. When they arrived at Melissa's house, they noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Okay, so he retreated into the home, and then what? He fled on foot.
He just left.
According to this description, as far as I understand, 2 police officers made that confrontation of Boelter at the home of the former House Speaker, who he had already murdered. Boelter is 57, and likewise, at least according to the cowboy hat photos, I don't know if I have them handy, but he looks kind of like Papa John's man. Okay,
yeah,
he does not look super fit. So he's older. He looks a little chunky. How did a 57-year-old guy in this kind of shape, I guess, outrun 2 almost certainly younger cops? Take your best guess. But if all of that is confusing, here's the. See, does he look like?
Oh wow! He looks just as large as the Papa John's dude, and I saw that he was weighed over 200 pounds. How the fuck did he get away?
Oh, if Papa John's man weighs 200 pounds, he is in excellent condition. That guy's gigantic. Anyway, unless he's super short, he might be a short king. I don't know. But yes, to recap, in case you're confused about any of this, as well recapped by the X account 0 Hour. This is some kind of right-winger, even white nationalist guy. That accusation has been circulating. He was working security in the Congo and Middle Eastern countries, and working for Tim Walz, and working for 7-Eleven, apparently. And there was some description of him working in a morgue where he actually like plucked eyeballs from dead bodies or something. All these bizarre business ventures and places of employment that he has. He owns a house, he has a family, but he lives in one room at a friend's house instead for some reason. Inexplicably, and then suddenly, despite all the understanding from his best friend roommate, he just murders or tries to murder 2 politicians while in this bizarre costume because he voted for Trump but never talks about it. He leaves a manifesto, which we now know to be lists of people in a few different locations, that contradicts flyers that he also left. He gets confronted by 2 presumably younger cops, overpowers and or escapes them, apparently calls the roommate to say, "It's been real, bro, but goodbye," and then somehow escapes to God knows where, so far defeating every law enforcement agency in the country.
Bingo. Can you repeat the part of this stuff where you said all about the things?
Does that make sense?
This guy is the dollar store version of Jason Bourne, then.
People are calling him Jason Korn because he's like a farmer or something. Yeah. Jason Korn.
This girl, Jesus Christ, is Jason Korn.
Anyway. I got to get to Justin, but do you have any thoughts on Jason Korn before I do?
Too many thoughts. Just go ahead and bring Justin on. This whole thing is just bizarre.
You think about it during the break, and if you have more questions, I'll try to answer them. But all right, I will be right back. I'm going to go get my guest, Justin Nazaroff, and I'll see you in just a few minutes.
Stand back and stand by. Stand back and stand by.
All right, my guest tonight is Justin Nazaroff from Fenix Ammunition. Come for the ammo, stay for the memes, and of course use promo code MCListener for 5% off. PhoenixAmmo.com, at Fenix Ammunition on X, linked in the description, Phoenix with an F. Justin, welcome back.
What's up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm all right. I didn't get any No Kings time yesterday, so I'm eager to catch up, But in a little bit, I don't know if you have opinions about this Minnesota political assassination thing, but it's I have no idea what we're watching here. So we'll get to that in a moment if you have some thoughts. But yeah, you and your business are in Novi, Michigan. That, of course, is a Detroit suburb, one of many sites. Apparently thousands of No Kings protest sites yesterday. Although around here, I think it's just like a guy and his uncle would sign up on the website, and that would count as a No Kings protest. There were some in towns of like 1,000 people, you know? But,
yeah. I think they just kind of threw a bunch of pins on a map, and they definitely knew that people were going to show up in certain areas. But I think a lot of it was just trying to scare people into thinking it was going to be much bigger than it was.
Well, you're in this Detroit suburb. How many people were down there, and what was your general assessment of the scene? And then I know there were some pretty funny things that happened down there, which I want to get into. But just describe the scene before we get to that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would say at the peak there was probably 700-800, maybe 1,000. I would guess. You know, I'm trying to give them their fair due. So I don't want to make it seem like it was smaller than what it was. I would say it was bigger than what I expected. I couldn't believe that they could get 1,000 people to show up on a beautiful Saturday and totally fuck their whole afternoon, just screaming on the side of the street about Trump. But people will find anything to fill their time. I would say the demographics were, I don't know, 80% of people above the age of 55, I would guess, 30% like ugly lesbians, 40% wine moms, and then just kind of a smattering of whatever else you can throw in there. I mean, literally everything. I saw almost everything you could imagine. I mean, people there with their kids holding signs.
Oh, God.
I saw two people that were probably in their mid 80s with signs that were literally taped to a pair of crutches.
Oh, yeah, I grabbed that photo.
I couldn't believe it.
That is
I just
probably, it doesn't get
like
more boomer than that. Yeah.
Perfect microcosm of exactly what's going on here. So I got a hot tip from somebody that the parking lot that they were all parking in.
Yeah.
It's a private lot, of course. It's like a big strip mall area that's been there for a long time. And so the owners were not really happy about this. And he said, they're gonna tow cars. So when I first got there, I went there with a friend of mine. We walked around and we saw the tow trucks and we said, all right, boys, like let's get this party started. Like,
you are
who do we start towing?
Spontaneous towing parking enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
You volunteered your help. Yeah,
for sure. And they said, well, we have to I actually identify somebody leaving their vehicle and going to the protest. And he's like, man, this parking lot's so big. I'm here by myself. And we said, oh, we'll do that for you. No problem. We'll go get a couple pictures. So we pointed out a few cars for him, and I thought, man, I wish I would have known about this beforehand. I would have had an army of people here. I would have said, listen, I'll give you $5 for every car you identify that gets towed. No problem. So I'm going to be much better prepared for the next one. That's for sure.
So just so I understand, the organizers of this protest promoted publicly park here, or did people just happen to park there?
No. Yeah, on the actual. I mean, I went to the website and checked it out because I wasn't sure exactly where they were planning on lining up. I didn't know how big it was going to be, and it said right on the flyer, it's at the corner of Novi and Grand River. Park in the park here in the town center parking lot.
Yeah,
and the property manager out there, he was like, listen, there's a cake store right in here that's got 1,000 orders today that they got to get out for Father's Day. And they can't afford to have this whole parking lot filled up. And, these people they're fucking retarded. They have no concept of what's going on in the world outside of their own little like delusion and fantasy or hell or whatever you would call it. They just have no regard for anybody else, any of these businesses, and what anybody else might be wanting to do on a Saturday. So, I mean,
well, it's open borders at the parking lot. I think they're very consistent on that.
Exactly.
Matter,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
But okay, how many cars do you think got towed?
Not many. I would say probably 4 or 5. I was expecting it to be bigger, but I think they were just a bit overwhelmed. It was kind of hard to identify. And as we were walking up and down, the whoever the organizers of this thing were, there was like 4 or 5 people with like safety vests on and bullhorns, kind of giving marching orders to these lemmings. And so as he was walking around and started announcing that they were towing cars, and so we saw a lot of people coming back to move their shit out of the way. Some of them actually did go into some of the local businesses and bought something cheap and put the receipt up on the dashboard, and I guess that was enough for them to be able to park there.
That's at least reasonably honest. Yeah. Good for them. This guy, it fits the demographic you were describing. Was parking enforced against this man, or what? What
no, that was I was walking around doing the live stream, and to be honest, I really wasn't interacting with a lot of people. I was kind of just keeping to myself, and I really only interacted with people who came up to me. I just wanted to let the stream, let everybody kind of take it all in. And so then this guy and a woman came up to me, and they were asking, why don't you have a sign? Like, why are you here? And I said, well, I fucking live here. Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
And so I got into it with the woman for a bit. She claimed she lived there, and so we kind of argued about that. And then she wanted to know what I did, and so of course I told her. And then she starts calling me a baby killer and all these things. So then this guy chimed in, and I don't know if this is like her husband. I hope it's not, but just maybe some random guy, and he just couldn't help himself. So there was definitely a few crazies that couldn't help but come and interact with me. And of course, as soon as these people started arguing, the other people around him, don't engage with that guy. You're giving him what he wants. And it's like, well, this is what you guys want. Like, you guys want the attention. So I'm putting you on Twitter live. This is what you want, is it not? You want all this visibility. So what are you worried about?
Yeah, I have that clip that you sent me, and several things stand out in it to me. But the woman does say, "There's that asshole again." So I was wondering, well, what did Justin
I saw
do?
her,
What
I
asshole
basically-
behavior?
Yeah, I walked up and down that corner 4 or 5 times. So I walked by her once or twice, and she didn't say anything. And then I got into it with her maybe like the 3rd time, and then I came back around, and that's the clip that you got in there.
Yeah, here's the moment.
It's that asshole again. You have no permission to put our pictures on Twitter. You have to get waivers.
Baby, you're in a public space.
No,
you don't know
but
what the
you
fuck
have
you're
no
talking about.
permission.
I don't need permission. I don't need permission.
Yeah, you're going to be in trouble.
I don't need permission.
You have no permission to put our pictures on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. Picture that. Picture that. Picture this.
Sure.
Picture this. Asshole.
Hey, what's up? How you get in there? Yeah, sure.
What's up, fuckhead?
What's up, buddy? How you doing? You got nothing else to do? I live here. Do you live here? Yeah. Do you really? How long do you live here? Oh, cool. Keep walking, man. No, I'll stay right here, actually.
Okay.
What I love about that moment, you got nothing else to do? What? Do you have nothing else?
Right,
Why
right.
are you dunking on your own event?
That's what I was
makes no
thinking that in
sense.
my head right when he said it. Yeah, like what? I mean, I'm only here to enjoy the spectacle. You're actually here for what you think is like a serious reason, and that's the most fucked up thing of all. I'm here for the entertainment. This is like a free movie to me, but you're here and you actually believe that there's like some, whatever cosmic reason that you have to be here screaming at people driving down the street about President Trump on a literally probably the best Saturday afternoon that we've had here in Michigan of the year so far.
When she says, "You're going to be in trouble, I'm going to tell on you," it's like some elementary school moment or something. But there was no, she didn't call police or anything like that.
Oh no, these people, to be honest with you, most of them, as soon as they know that you're just literally not afraid of them at all, they back away and they don't want anything to do with you. If they sense that you're nervous or maybe, you're not sure you're supposed to be there or anything like that, then, they can kind of smell that fear and that's when they'll pounce on you. But if you just let them know that you just literally, I couldn't give 2 fucks about any of those people, any of the looks. I mean, it's like, what are you guys going to do? I saw one guy there that I thought to myself, if I had to fight that guy, that would be probably a lot of work. He's bigger than me. That would be a tough challenge. But I mean, no, not for 1 second was I concerned for my safety by any of those people.
It's a weird experience. The only thing close I've had was when I went to a January 6th vigil a couple of years ago. And likewise, it was a bunch of old people, mostly. And once they found out I was not one of them, in the same way they found out that you were not one of them, they got hostile similarly. And even though they were saying terrible things, help you die or whatever, like similar stuff, because there was no physical threat at all, it was a weird experience because that they're hostile to you. They're so hostile they might even try something. But if they did, it's not like my life is at risk. It's like I'm going to have to be so proportional with my response. Otherwise, I'm going to prison. I'm going to have to flick him in self-defense if he gets too aggressive here. It's a weird thing.
That's what I thought about that woman, when she was trying to push that sign into my phone and all that. I just thought, man, I really please God, don't touch me. Don't make this a thing. I really don't want to have to be on the 5 o'clock news.
Yeah.
Tussling with some Zoloft wine mom on the sidewalk of Grand River and Novi Road, a place I've lived my entire life, with some idiot that has no business being there at all. So it was a bizarre situation.
Apparently, emergency responders necessary for some kind of medical emergency.
I didn't exactly. I didn't see what happened. I saw the ambulances, and so I thought I'll go over there. So I'm assuming that she had I don't know, heat stroke or some kind of dehydration, something like that. She looked like she was probably in her late 70s, early 80s. So I think she just, she forgot the old Boy Scout rule of clear and copious urine and just couldn't hack it for an hour and a half out in the sun. So if anybody out there is worried about who's coming for them in the Boogaloo 2, they're not going to make it long. If it's a
cloudless
sunny day, you're going to have battlefield casualties all over the place.
Not even the Yeah, advance at noon and you'll be fine. There will be no problem whatsoever.
Exactly. Right.
Not even the gardening
heat of the
hat
day
will save them. Now, I want you to. You talk to these people for a while, and I don't mean these two in particular, but they are, I think, somewhat representative. Can you give me the best that they had to offer? Because, and by that I mean, like, if could you assign any coherent philosophy to these people? Because the more these things go on, the more it just seems like it's a blob protest where all the flags apply: the rainbow flag, the Mexican flag, the Palestinian flag, whatever flag, just not the
all of them.
So
all of them.
Is or was there any sort of coherent message to what they were saying, even if you totally disagreed with it?
Honestly, not really. I mean, it's just I think of leftists, especially I'll say, you know, being that predominantly the crowd there was female. I'll say I think a lot of leftist women are like having a husky or a German shepherd, like they're, you know, a very high energy dog. If you don't let them go out and run around in the yard for a little while, then they're going to piss all over your house and they're going to tear up the couch and everything like that. And I think that's really what these leftists need. They have to go out and scream at the sky. We got to like let them out. You know, I think that's like the popularity of these, like what the hell they call them, like break rooms or whatever, where you go into these rooms and like break stuff.
Oh yeah, all these like female rage outlets. They had that
rage rooms. That's what it is.
Did you see that camp a few years ago where they went into the forest and just punched trees or whatever? I can't remember what it was. It was a forest exercise.
Yeah. So that I really think that's what it is with these people. They have no. 99% of them have no capability for violence whatsoever, but they have a lot of violent thoughts. And so for them to go out on the grass and scream for a little while and carry signs that say Trump is Hitler and ICE is KKK and all this stuff, they really feel like they're getting something. It's like I said, it's like a dog in the yard. Like you throw the ball and the dog brings it back and he really thinks he's doing something. He doesn't understand that it's like a performative exercise to simulate the reality of like, you know, going out and hunting and killing.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for these leftists. Like they have to simulate the fact that they'll never actually have the ability to follow through on any of the things that are inside their head, but they got to go out and scream and they got to be around other people that feel the same way as they do. It's very, it's just it's the main difference between people on the left and people on the right. You know, people on the right, you would never get 1,000 people on the right to come out for something like this because we all got better shit to do and we're all very independently minded. And it's very hard for you to organize all those people. But the leftists are different. They want to be there. They want to collect in a pile. You know, they want to create a critical mass, and so they have to do that every so often, or they go crazy. I mean,
it is strange how the blob almost assumes a family role in that way. Like there are members and non-members, insiders and outsiders. As soon as you're, people aren't even that exclusive with their family, really. But as soon as you are like identified,
well, these people don't have families. That's the thing. Like a lot of the, I mean, I hate to stereotype as bad as I am, but I mean, you know, how many of these people who are out there on Saturday are having a great Father's Day? Probably not many, I would guess.
I would like to see a chart, explaining that.
Let's see the correlation there. So they've thrown their families away for various reasons. They've alienated themselves from their families in a lot of cases because, you know, their parents voted for Trump, and so now they have ostracized them from their entire family, so that now they have to find a new family, and that's what they do. They get together in these protests and they make friends, and they find, you know, other people who are as angry as they are, and they just become miserable together. And it really blows my mind. But
I didn't even notice this guy's shirt. Now, of course, he has the "We're all the couch" now. So that assumes that refers to the made-up accusation that JD Vance fucked a couch or something like that, which isn't true. But the shirt, the alpha male shirt with the unicorn, is it just supposed to be ironic? Like I'm an alpha male who likes pink girly things or something?
I'm not sure. I mean, that's what caught my eye. That's why I turned and I was like, "Hey, let me get you want me to take your picture?" And I actually told the woman next to him, she was holding her sign upside down, and I
Yeah.
thought afterward, I should have taken the picture with it upside down. That would have been perfect. But yeah, I think he's just trying to be ironic, funny, I guess. Who knows? That's like a shirt I would wear, ironically,
Yeah.
to like a three-gun competition or something like that, just to be that guy,
Yeah.
But to see it on him, it's like, well, yeah. I mean,
I want to take 1 hour of this woman's constitutional law class too. I want to hear it. All about the intricacies of our U.S. Constitution. But I want to make sure we leave a little bit of time for a couple things. Unless you have more to say about what you witnessed in Novi, I'll give you an opportunity for that. But
not really. I mean, I think it was definitely bigger than what I thought it was going to be. I was surprised that many people would come out there on that short of notice in Novi. I mean, in the Ann Arbor one, I guess, was much larger. But it is sad. I mean, having lived there for 40 years and, knowing what it used to look like compared to what it looks like now. I mean, I was walking around the crowd thinking these are people that I passed by in the grocery store who literally would have no problem. Like the funny thing is that they think that Trump is a king and he's going to put them all into the gay concentration camps or whatever. But these people would, they think I'm almost, they think I voted for Hitler. So, I mean, obviously they would be okay with, the government coming in and murdering me.
Well, yeah, it's
so they speak out of both sides of their mouth and they have no idea what they're talking about.
how brave they are to stand up against kings in a country that has never had, as many have observed, we have a No King's Day. It's called the 4th of July, but you guys hate
4th,
that
right?
for
Yeah,
a
we
bunch
did
of
that.
reasons.
We shot people.
But
Yeah,
but the
exactly.
no oligarchs, no kings is okay. 2016, your party, I assume the party of many of them, rigged the primary in favor of their candidate.
Yeah.
Then COVID came and just screwed up everything in 2020. Everybody has their own theories about what happened there. This last time around, your guy is pretty much dead. They refused to have a primary and they install the candidate. And then you walk out there to supposedly defend democracy when you lost the election and the people you support refused to let you have a decision in who the candidate would be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
well, what's
totally
funny
different.
about that, at the very beginning, there was a younger girl who was wearing like a Bernie Sanders shirt that was walking kind of behind me and my friend as we were walking down the sidewalk. And this older guy stopped and she goes, "Oh, is that Bernie Sanders on your shirt? Oh, I love young Bernie Sanders." And they were like, chumming up about Bernie Sanders. And me and my buddy turned to each other and we turned around and we said, yeah, it was really funny when you guys totally fucked over Bernie Sanders and tried to wedge Hillary in there. Like, yeah, I'm sure you guys sound like you really loved him. And they just had nothing to say. And it was just so hilarious to me. They really think Trump has to work hard to get, and like I'm not like the 100% Trump guy or anything, but like he literally works so hard to get one thing done, and then he's got 15 judges who are going to say that he can't do it. Like that's the king. But then on your side, like you said, you guys rig your own primaries. You totally screwed Bernie Sanders. You had like literally a cardboard cutout of a guy that you were propping up that everybody knew was, except for Jake Tapper, I guess, everybody knew was not the real person in charge. So what are you guys even talking about?
Well, I give you credit for
disconnect.
trying to learn what they were talking about, even if it wasn't successful. But do you have any thoughts on what in God's name is happening with these Minnesota?
Jason Korn. Yeah.
Jason Korn, yeah. Just everything about the whole thing makes no sense. I have no idea what to make of this.
I'm unfortunately like this is one of those where I want to wait a few days until more information comes out. But what I think will happen is in a few days they're just gonna like sweep this under the rug, like the Las Vegas shooting or so, any of the other historical examples where 2 years from now we're gonna be like, hey, do you guys remember that fucking guy that like dressed up like a fake cop and shot 2 state senators and then like fled on foot? Like whatever happened with that? Oh, I don't even remember. It's like, oh shit, that's how this is going to be. I mean, I honestly can't believe it. Fake security company, fake cop car, like this Hellraiser mask he's got on in here. I've seen people saying that some of them think it was his son that actually did the murders.
I haven't heard
because
that
there was
theory.
no way that fat fuck could have gotten away from the cops. I mean, I completely. It's like this is insanity.
And as far as I'm aware, they haven't told us who the cops are who made the initial approach. So it could have been like Athletic Son, or it could have been progressive police officers who made the
let me
visit.
see these two cops and okay, so what exactly happened? You just, I mean, I'll suppose that you thought, well, there's another state senator in our same town, so maybe we'll go check on her. Okay, I can get there, I guess. But then you roll up and the guy starts shooting at you. So like, what did you do exactly? Did one of you run around to the back of the house? Like, when did you go in the house? When you went in the house, what you realized the back door was open and you assumed he fled through the woods. So you didn't get like a helicopter out there or anything. I mean, this is just, it's fucking insanity. And it tells you that anybody who thinks the police are competent is crazy, number one. Like if you can look at this and say to yourself, oh, our cops are doing a great job and they're super well trained. It's like, okay, well, obviously that's not true, or this is some kind of a setup and it's a psyop and they were in on it or wanted to provide an alibi. Like it's got to be one or the other. It can't be both. So like it's the same thing. Every time one of these kinds of things happen, the police give these super vague statements up in front of the podium. They don't take any questions. You never hear from the officers who were actually there. And I don't know. It's wild.
And the thing I can't get over beyond the facts of the shooting itself is you mentioned the fake businesses. And I know that governors appoint lots of people to lots of things. They don't all hang out all the time. I'm not saying Tim Walz gave the order or something, but someone needs to explain to me on what basis this guy is in any sort of advisory role to anybody, let alone the governor of the state on business matters, when there's his friends like, I don't know, he works all these weird jobs and can't maintain one, has a fake business where he goes to Africa and tells them how to run their security or something.
I'll be honest with you, the more I've learned about state politics in particular, that's all. I sat in the office of a state senator about a month ago and just like more or less listened while he took 4 or 5 different meetings from all kinds of people who, well, we want to start this committee for the research of like X disease, or, we want to have the committee to start, looking into research for this or that. And that's all they are, is they put together these committees, they get government funding, everybody gets a paycheck, and the committee members all end up being like their friends and family, just nobodies. I mean, they did this, gun violence committee here in Michigan, I think like last year before. And yeah, they picked, some guy who is supposed to be like the pro-gun guy of their panel. And he's like a complete anti-gunner. I've met this guy several times, but like he's not a firearms instructor. He claims he is. Like it's just a collection of people who, have a resume that nobody's ever going to look in on, and they get put onto one of these committees, and it just gets recycled every year in the budget. And it's like, 10 years later, you look and you go, this committee paid like $400,000 in salaries to all these people every year for 10 years. Like what was accomplished? And nothing.
Well, speaking of people who know nothing and hold anti-gun views in positions of power, do you have any quick send-off for David Hogg? I know we've been talking about him as his saga has developed in recent months, but he's out and he's not coming back. Boy. It's over for David Hogg at the DNC. Your thoughts?
Do you think he can be fixed? Could we flip David Hogg? Would that be a big win for pro-guns? Like, should I invest time into that?
I was joking on Wednesday that he's so pissed off he's going to commit a mass shooting at DNC headquarters, and then his
he
character
very well might
will be complete.
Kind of guy,
Or that said, he is a young man. As you know, when I was a young man, I don't know if I was ever full Hogg, and actually nobody has sold more guns to me personally than David Hogg himself. David Hogg is instrumental in my own character arc.
That's right.
But as someone who had something of a similar view to him once upon a time, when you're a young man, your mind can change for sure. And to your point, I don't think it's inconceivable that David Hogg changes his mind about this stuff as he gets older. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I'm not holding out hope, but if he starts eating steak and eggs and squats and deadlifts and starts going to the gun range, gets his tee up a little bit, I mean, he could be saved. We'll see, but
He posted that.
I doubt it. I doubt it very highly.
He posted that skeet shooting video way back. I like guns. Remember that one?
Yeah,
I think that was 12 gauge. He has to be a tough man to handle that. I don't know. I don't remember what he was shooting actually, but
yeah, it's been fun watching him and Harry Sisson and all these other guys, all these other young Democrat leftists in the last couple of months in particular, all of a sudden realize that being a man and masculinity is something that's actually a good thing, and watching them try to dip their toe in the water. And then just seeing the reactions out, because of course people on the right are like, "Well, dude, you're a fucking pussy," you this is a picture of you working out, you got no muscle definition. And then the people on the left are like, "Oh, don't buy into that toxic masculinity. Don't ruin yourself by becoming some gym bro like the other guys." And it's like, man, this guy can't win one way or another.
Yeah, you do really put yourself in a weird box that way.
Yeah, but fuck him. David Hogg, he can go fuck himself. So he gets everything he deserves. I hope he dies broken poor, but unfortunately that probably won't be the case. Just like all these other leftists, he'll end up with some $100,000 salary for an NGO or a 501c3.
Maybe he can man the gun on Greta's boats over to the Middle East. Maybe he can do security for her. Those two can get together and then form an unholy marriage or something. Yeah.
Yeah. That
anyway,
would be, that's.
Anything else you want to mention before you're out of here?
No, man. It's been great. For those of you who it's summer shooting season, so head to phoenixammo.com. Check out all our stuff, and we're happy to be the unofficial, unelected leaders in charge of the militia industrial complex. So proud to serve.
Phoenix Ammunition X account linked in the description, phoenixammo.com. I'm still unclear if I can link directly to your website. I think you mentioned I can.
You can now. It was blocked for a bit, but you can actually post a direct link to our website on Twitter now. We still can't advertise, Elon, and we did get demonetized, Elon, but we're here for now. We're doing what we can.
All right. Well, find Phoenix Ammunition linked in the description. Justin Nazaroff, thanks again for joining, and I look forward to next time, of course.
Peace out, brother.
All right. I'm going to go get Joshy Boy, and we'll get into your super chats. I will be right back.
Stand back and stand by. Stand back and stand by.
All right. Have you had time to think about it?
Yes. Justin did ask a lot of the questions for me, though. But I wrote it down. Okay, so one is kind of a silly one. Why was he wearing a cowboy hat? That was the one that came off my top of my
I don't
head.
know. That was just his. Well, that is. I have only a question on top of that. When did he switch outfits? He escaped. I guess he escaped police and then switched outfits and then appeared. And where did he run home? Where did he get the outfit? Did he run somewhere?
Yeah. He looked like he was approaching a store.
Maybe he got, who knows? Is it even his cowboy hat? Did he steal it off a cowboy in the middle of, I don't know, some ranch somewhere?
I have no clue.
No idea.
So the other question was during the gunfight. Well, I guess this one would be a two-parter. Was he wounded during the gunfight?
I haven't heard a report on that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think we know.
And this took place in front of the house, right? So
we don't know. He shot at them. implicitly he shot from outside the house because the cops said he fled into the house, which implies the gunfire was from outside and then he ran in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were any of the cops wounded during the gunfight?
I didn't hear that. I don't believe so. I don't think they got hit, but don't quote me on that because I didn't hear definitively that they were not hit.
Because a lot of that is still not making a whole lot of sense. I mean, we don't get to see the list of names because it could have been some Republicans in there. It's funny how they just randomly show up at the person's house as a precaution, right? How did they know to take precautions with that senator in particular?
I assume because they just thought, well, there's been a political attack on a state senator. We know that the former speaker is in our area here in that was Brooklyn Park, right? So we're just going to go check on her because maybe there's someone going off on politicians right now. I don't have a hard time believing that necessarily, but man, the coincidence and you could just call it good intuition. Hey, we predicted something was going to happen. We showed up there and it was happening. Okay. I mean, I could, of all the odd things about the story, that is the most believable to me, I suppose, but it's still pretty dang coincidental, isn't it? Like we just happened to show up and there he was, fresh off murdering her. Okay.
Yeah. I still can't believe that a man who is almost 60 years old and above 200 pounds can outrun the cops.
Well,
now either the cops themselves were fat, just as fat as he was.
Quite possibly.
Or this whole thing is just a setup. I refuse to believe that any of this is legit.
Something odd is going on, but I'm sure we'll have some super chats to that.
It'll show up on Pam Bonnie's desk.
Exactly.
That's where we'll get the information.
Well, or in the same safe or locker as the Nashville shooters manifesto. It's, all stored safely together. Anyway, I want to get to your Chattanooga No Kings experience in a minute, but first let's catch up on some super chats. So over on YouTube and Tippy Stream, AP, happy Father's Day, Matt. My wife's birthday was this past Tuesday. Can Kayla get a shout out for her birthday and being an amazing mom to our little Benjamin? Well, of course. Happy birthday, Kayla. Birthday. Happy Father's Day to AP. And thank you for the well-wishing here and for supporting the show. I appreciate it. Tortuga. I've about had it with you with you two body shaming us pizza lovers. I challenge you two to a push-up contest. Well, I mean,
come on, man.
That's the Joe Biden approach, isn't it? Well, I don't know. I mean, pizza is a great food. I get it.
It is a great food, right? Especially if you put pineapples on it. Now,
we're in agreement on that, yeah.
Well, thank you, because there's a lot of people who get real heated about putting pineapples on their pizza, and I promise you it belongs on there.
In fact, speaking of heated, it's often best heated, and I don't mean temperature. I mean, it pairs well with jalapenos. Make it a little spicy with the pineapple. Yeah, that's legit.
That's a combination I can get behind.
Tortuga, it's not a shot at you personally. You eat all the pizza that you want. I just assume, I don't know. I mean, if you successfully evade police on foot after eating all the pizza that you want, you tell me that story. That's the only thing I ask. You call in and you tell me how that was achieved, because that's the greatest mystery of this weekend.
And if you can beat me in the push-up contest, I'll buy you all the pizza you want.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Bright Eye Security, this assassination issue is going to be a problem for us long term. Every side blames each other and no one is willing to talk about our real issues. It might get worse for us long term. I mean, if it is what let's say face value, it is what it appears to be. This guy is some sort of right-wing politically motivated person who just went and killed Democrats. Yeah, I don't think anybody should hide from saying that you're not justified in committing cold-blooded murder at people's homes. That is cold-blooded murder. It should be prosecuted as such, and it should be disavowed. It should be condemned, all of those things. I just find the circumstances to be so bizarre and hard to explain in a million different ways. And as with anything, it's not whether I align with it ideologically or not. If it's a open and shut case, like this guy was right wing, he hated Democrats, that's why he did this. You're telling me you have writings to that effect. Just show me the writings. I'm not even saying today. It doesn't have to be murders yesterday. They dropped today. I get it. You have an investigation to complete. You've got all of that stuff to take care of. But can we get the information on a timeline something quicker than the aforementioned Nashville school shooter manifesto or the Epstein files, as you raise? can we get transparency with the evidence at some point? If the evidence is totally conclusive, then yeah, fair enough. I get it. It's not as though it's impossible ever to happen.
Yeah. Here's the other angle with that. If this was a real right-winger that did this, the information would be out almost immediately.
I think that maybe you're right that it's true. Like if I were to guess, I think you're probably right that it's true that there are various Democrats named in his writings. It probably is true that Planned Parenthood or abortion stuff is in there too, but that is not a complete look at what is there. Like it quite possibly could be selective, and maybe that's the reason why we're getting. Anytime you're telling me we have tons of evidence, can I see it? No, I'll just describe it to you. I'm never going to trust that by default. I'm always going to have questions about that, whether whether I'm aligned with the way it's leaning or not. But over on Rumble, iBot, thank you, iBot. You're the real MVP.
I am not going to be niggardly.
Lbot. I wouldn't. Why do I? I call him the real MVP, and I can't even remember his freaking. It's because it looks like an eye. I get tricked every time. Anyway, Lbot. Yakko, 1977. The Russo, Ukraine, and Israel-Iran conflicts are forcing the world's militaries to take notice. The Ukrainian drone strikes and the Israeli decapitation strikes in Iran will be imitated in the future. I didn't pay that much attention to what Ukraine did with that drone strike in Russia a few weeks ago. There was that crazy footage. Did you follow that, where Ukraine sent a bunch of drones into Russian territory and started taking out their military equipment and their airfields and all this stuff? It looked
I thought
very
that was a while ago. I thought that was during the talks, right?
I think it was like a couple weeks to a month ago, something like that. Relatively recent. Okay. But yeah, one of those pieces of military history that looks like a video game kind of thing. Gotcha. Like just like driving around a robot in the sky and shooting missiles and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so these weren't like suicide drones then.
I don't think they were kamikazes. What would you call them?
Yeah.
I don't think they were that.
Drone kamikazes.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's things are heating up from a global conflict perspective, and we'll get into the Israel-Iran piece of that conflict in a little bit. Dangerous Spaces, friendly producer, call screener. Denmark had their own No Kings protest. Problem being Denmark has a king, of course, married to an Aussie, by the way. So they told people they can't bring signs that say No Kings, and they rebranded it to No Tyrants. Well, as Joshy Boy will enthusiastically remind you, king and tyrant are not synonymous terms. They're different. They're different things.
That's why we need a monarchy. Right there. He told them, said, nope, you can't do that. And then guess what happened? They obeyed.
That is, yeah. He got that shit under control right away.
He got that shit under control real quick.
Whether he's symbolic or ceremonial or otherwise. Lunachick, my boyfriend wants to know where you got the shirt that you're wearing. Well, if you don't know the history of the Nuga shirt and why I wear this shirt mostly when Joshy Boy's on, because he's my favorite Nuga from Nuga. He is from Chattanooga, and we'll discuss in a moment. Yeah. Part of the hoax hate, like, I don't know, a year ago, when was that?
I believe so.
The baseball team, a minor league baseball team in Chattanooga, the Chattanooga Lookouts, they got in trouble because they had this shirt for sale. This was deemed too close to a racial slur by some sort of racial activist. And so this shirt was taken out of the team stores, and I think you can still buy it from unofficial, like unlicensed sources, not from the team. Who knows whether those sales are legal or not from a copyright perspective, but this shirt is still gettable. Just look up Chattanooga Lookouts Nuga shirt. I'm pretty sure you can find it.
And real quick, the reason why that dude who was, I think his name was Marcus or something. First of all, he was smiling the entire time because he wanted his 15 minutes of fame, right? That N-word is not from here, okay? We have companies named with the name Nuga in it. Nuga Knights, Nuga Shuttles, Nuga Water Parts, right? Nuga Strong due to the terrorist attacks, right? That dude don't live here. Nobody was bothered by that.
What was the Nuga terrorist attack? Which one was that?
So this one happened, I believe this happened in 2015. There was a terrorist attack on one of our naval recruitment places.
I don't remember that one. And that's 10 years ago though, so.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I was still in not high school. I was at community college when that happened. So it was about a decade ago. 5 people got killed, 4 cadets, 1 officer.
Well, nothing but N-words in N-wordville Tennessee, I guess. Everywhere you look, and just Nuga everything.
Yes.
But that's the shirt. Thank you, Lunacheck.
But it's not even related. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
You have another Nuga thought before I move on.
Oh, yeah. It's not even like Nuga is not even black for real. It's more Cherokee.
Oh, the name Chattanooga.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not African in origin. It's
no.
Indian name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Indians can be racist too, I assume. Dangerous Spaces. Holy shit, these people are incredibly frustrating. You can't legally record me and put me on Twitter, motherfucker. You are insisting laws be followed at a pro-illegal immigration protest, moron. Well, yeah, I mean, I assume she has a problem with immigration enforcement going on. Pretty safe assumption, I would think. Over on Odyssey, Blankets. Matt, did you see this video? Well, I don't like to play videos that I just get linked to because I don't know what's in them and things can get dangerous very quickly. But let's see what we got. Looks like a black woman.
Don't be mad, her president won. Get off the plantation.
Okay, so black woman getting heckled at some kind of No Kings protest for supporting Trump, apparently. I have not seen that video. But
she got off the plantation. She living free now.
Blanket says, Matt, hope you had a happy Father's Day. What are your favorite things to do on Father's Day? Well, thank you. I did have a very nice Father's Day, and I mostly celebrated Friday and Saturday because not only is it Father's Day weekend, it was also my wife's birthday weekend. She shares a birthday with Donald Trump and the U.S. Army, apparently. So it was her birthday yesterday, and so for Father's Day, for her birthday, we went to Billings a couple hours away. And we saw Hot Wheels monster trucks at an arena because our son Calvin, our oldest son, loves Hot Wheels and monster trucks. So it's a surprise for him that we've been working on for weeks and telling him we have the coolest surprise in the world. You won't believe it. Your brain's going to explode. And he had no idea what it was until we got him into the arena yesterday and got to show him. We're at a monster truck rally, a Hot Wheels monster truck rally. And it was really cool. You ever been to a monster truck event before?
No, I haven't. But it sounds cool.
I never had a reason to go because that's not really my thing. But big trucks, very loud, smashing cars, doing jumps. Yeah, it was fun to watch. So, and of course, it's those sorts of events where you experience the excitement of something that wouldn't necessarily normally interest you through a child's eyes.
Yeah, it's even better when you're doing it for somebody else.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a very fun time yesterday. So. Great Father's Day, great time for my son Calvin, great birthday for my wife. So very busy, but very awesome weekend for us. And thank you, Blankets. Happy Father's Day to you and yours as well. Also says, Matt, did you hear they're making Spaceballs too?
Yeah, I heard that. There was a friend of mine. She sent me a video saying they're making another Spaceball. I saw the trailer for it. And the trailer was hilarious, and I was thinking it was kind of a joke. But my immediate reaction was, why? Why now?
I hated the first movie, so I'm next to zero chance I'm going to watch the remake.
Yeah, I wasn't too fond of it either, but still, we've seen what happens when they try to bring something back from the past. We've seen it with TV shows, video games, other movies. Why?
Even if you consider Spaceballs to be a classic, and many do, just leave classics alone, let them exist.
Yeah, just leave it be. Yeah. It's never going to be as good as the original.
Critically Dreadful sending me memes about the true alpha male. Thank you for that. Blanket sending me memes as well. And Critically Dreadful. Oh, Critically Dreadful doesn't appreciate our pineapple on pizza take. He thinks we should be wheelchaired off the cliff, but agree to disagree.
Well, you know what? We're going to catapult you across the border. How does that sound?
Share a country somehow. Matt, what kind of birthday cake did you get for your wife? I'm ashamed to admit that the cake was actually supplied by my parents in a cupcake form. So the answer was no cake. I'm a terrible husband. And if I were to provide cake, I'm not baking that. I'm going to the store and purchasing it.
You sound like me.
But because there was already cake provided, I also don't need more cake, all right? We have push-up contests to do. We don't need more cake. So if that makes me a terrible father and husband, then so be it. But anyway, back to the news. We will come back to your chats at the end of the stream. Thank you, guys.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
Appreciate it. You yourself went down to a No Kings protest in Nougat Town yesterday.
Yeah.
So before we get to some of the video that you captured, just walk me through your general experience.
Okay, so kind of like what Justin mentioned, I was just kind of there off the cuff because I was going to breakfast with a coworker of mine, aka I had something better going on. So I was just kind of down there for an hour.
Yeah.
My protest in my hometown started at 9:30 in the morning, which was an odd choice, and lasted up until 11:30, right? So I kind of went down there as quickly as I could. Didn't like to pay for parking, but whatever. I didn't have any plans whatsoever. I never did a man on a street kind of thing. And so the clips that Matt is going to show y'all in a minute, I had a lot more footage, and I actually did end up talking to some people. The problem is that I was so shit at keeping a good angle on the people I was talking to that I was like, you ever go back and look at your old stuff and it was like, Jesus Christ, what was I doing?
You suck, fuck you.
I look at what I made last week and think that.
So I was just completely embarrassed, and I was like, I can't show them this. I don't look like a chump.
Well, here is the general scene in town, and just walking. Now, you're telling me you think there were like a couple hundred people at this park in Nougat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but your
Roughly.
thoughts on the demographics are sort of similar to Justin. Then, like a lot of olds and a lot of freak young people. Is that basically it?
That is basically it. I was surprised to see a lot of American flags there.
So they got the memo about the Mexican flags in LA.
Yes. However, I find a lot of this to be incredibly ironic. One, you have a monarchist going to a No Kings protest, right? Right. Two, they're waving American flags as if it matters to them now because they think Donald Trump is trying to be a king. Three, go ahead.
Well, you didn't wave a Yes King sign, did you? Did you come out as a monarchist?
I should have, but like I said before, this was kind of an off-the-cuff kind of thing. I should have gone to Walmart first, got a little whatever they got to make signs and says monarchy now, and wore a crown on my head, and just walked around like an absolute goon. But I mean, I got there kind of early, so it got a little more crowded as the time went on.
You actually talked to a few people, had a few, I suppose, mini debates. One was with a guy about immigration, and I have that clip, just like a 1 minute back and forth.
What are you protesting?
I'm protesting Trump and this whole regime. Failure to have due process for immigrants that are being deported, or even if they aren't immigrants, we don't know because they have no chance in court to prove their case.
A lot of talk about them being here illegally.
If they don't have due process, how do you know? If they don't have rights...
Well, if they don't have documentation, wouldn't it be illegal?
Since when do we have to start walking around showing documentation?
What's stopping them from coming here legally?
What's stopping them? The fact that since way back when Obama was in office, they prevented immigration reform from going through.
I have a lot of immigrants who do come here legally, who do end up getting their citizenship. My question is, what's stopping the rest of them from doing that?
The fact that the Republicans for almost 15 years have been preventing immigration reform from happening.
Oh, what specifically policy that they have in place?
Not to vote on bills brought by Democrats. That's their policy.
All right.
You have any additional thoughts about that guy? Because I have some thoughts.
Well, there was one thing I did agree with him on. Legal immigration does take too long. But other than that, I kind of had a hard time following him. Now, I'm not particularly very good at asking questions and everything because, like I said, I was just kind of ill prepared or whatever. I was mostly inquired about people's sign, why they're there and everything. But that's just what it boils down to. When he made the comments like, what do we walk around showing our papers and everything? It's just, I should have said, well, yeah, we got forms of ID that will tell a person if you're a citizen or not.
If I go to a foreign country, I'm carrying such documentation.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't see this rollerblading old man, did you?
No, I did not, actually. Me and my coworker had breakfast at 10:30, so I kind of left around that time. So I did not see the rollerblading old geezer.
Now, as far as that guy's argument, I'm not actually I'm not going to criticize him for not knowing every specific policy matter off the top of his head. Very few people do. So it's not that. But his argument, to give it as much credit as I possibly can and make it as basic as I can, it seems to be that if the law is hard to follow, and that's the point that you guys were talking about, like, why can't they go through the legal process? Well, it takes too long and there are too many hurdles. It's hard to follow the law. Well, then there is no obligation to follow it. That seemed like the argument he was making. And God, man, what a strange reason not to obey the law. Now, there are, I think, valid reasons not to obey the law. Some laws are immoral. And there's moral reason not to follow it. Maybe he thinks that. Maybe he thinks our immigration laws are immoral and he wants to make a moral argument about why they shouldn't be followed. This is not that. This is just an I'm lazy argument. Like, if you're lazy, you get a veto over the legal structure. I'm lazy, so I can do whatever I want. You want to talk about the fast track to societal collapse? Embrace that philosophy. I'm lazy, therefore everyone else owes me something. That is the argument. I'm not even trying to strawman what he's saying. It's inconvenient, therefore no obligation to follow. That was the argument. Crazy talk. And then there was sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
That's all I had. I was going to move on to the Nazi guy. But if you have more thoughts,
go ahead.
Well, so there's like one guy walking around with a Trump sign, and people are heckling him, calling him a Nazi of some kind.
What's up, man? You seem to be the only sane person here. I'm not gonna talk about that.
Did you see the woman's sign?
There were a lot. Which one?
She was walking by you when you were approaching him. It said "No dictators," but she put a K in there.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Like a penis.
Yeah, there was quite a few.
Good one. Clever.
That was kind of looks like she hadn't gotten enough. But anyway,
she needs a little more dictator.
More dictatorship. Yeah. So as soon as I turned my camera to the guy yelling Nazi, he hid behind his sign. Right.
The alleged Nazi guy did.
Yeah,
maybe he thought you were in a. I mean, he's like, hey, it's a man of color coming to shame me. So he probably hid from you. He was afraid of your melanin superiority.
Yeah, that seemed to. I'm not saying people were surprised, but they seemed to. Maybe that's the wrong word. I guess when you see somebody like me, especially since I'm a darkie, right? You don't expect them to come up to you and just start not even trying to blast you, right? But just trying to understand your side. There are two other young groups. There's a lot of olds that I talked to. There was two young groups. One was a group of girls, and so I addressed the group, but only one would talk to me. And she was like, "I'm protesting a fascist government." So I asked her, "Okay, what's so fascist about it?" And she just doesn't know, right? And he says, "I just don't agree with this policy." So I was, all right, well, which ones, right? She couldn't name me that. And then she just kind of walked away. No, she also, she did that thing that Justin mentioned. Just one of them was like, "Well, why are you filming us?" And I was like, "It's a public space. I can record if I want to." And that's exactly what I said. It's a public space. I can record you if I want. Right? It baffles me.
Well, and it is odd. You are the ones making a public scene, and then you're mad if people document the public scene. Don't you want to be visible in this way?
They want their voices to be heard, right? But when you try to talk to them so they can make their voices heard, they either don't know what they're talking about or don't want to talk to you. I even approached a guy, right? A guy and what seems to be his wife, and I asked, "Do you want to talk to me for a second?" I was being real polite, being real nice. There was a Mexican flag there. What the fuck?
I guess there was. Yeah. Should have found the pizza eating Mexican guy. Or maybe tacos. Man. I don't know. But either way, could he escape two cops in the middle of the night if he had to? I don't know.
Yeah, all he has to do is say he's about to go to work. But the thing was, the husband didn't want to talk to me, so I said, "No, thank you. I don't want to ask questions." I was like, "Geez, what a bitch." Yeah. There was another guy that I was talking to. Apparently, he was in the army. So him and I was kind of just talking back and forth, right? About the whole immigration thing.
Yeah.
And the fat fuck next to him, which I'm assuming is his girlfriend, right? She was like, "We're not gonna argue." I just kind of ignore her. Yeah, right. She looks like one of those. You remember Trickly-Puff, right?
Of course, yeah. Legend.
She looks similar to that, right?
That's a big girl then. Yeah.
Not nearly as fat, but she was like,
okay, so not as fat, but looked like her.
Adjacent to her.
Well,
So, no, go ahead.
Is there's more to the story, or was it just that his girlfriend was fat?
She was like, we're not going to argue. I was like, bitch, I'm not even talking to you. So, all right, men are talking right now.
Exercise your black privilege. Put her in her place. I like it.
I just kind of ignore her, but it was just like that. One girl had no clue why she was there.
Well, yeah, it's just a social club. This is not actually for debate or philosophy. It's just this is a matter of belonging, and to belong is to be enraged. I want to get to that with Senator Alex Padilla in a minute and his stunt this week. I hope that everyone's outraged. That's just how you join the club. You're angry. About what? I don't know. I'm angry, though.
I'm just angry.
Yeah. Well,
two of them didn't know what their sirens were saying, didn't know if it was right side up or whatever. It was...
To the point on the demographics, moving on from just Chattanooga, I want to talk about a couple viral clips from other No Kings protests around the country. Again, nearly dead boomers still acting like maybe there's another year of the 60s left in their lives, and they're just protesting recreationally for old time's sake, apparently. Mm-hmm. That's Group A, and Group B is completely deranged young people of various freak characteristics. I'm going to go in reverse order with a couple viral clips from each demographic from the weekend. So at the DC protest, a guy named David Kate captured one of these young people with freak characteristics. This young woman was walking around with her, Trump's a Nazi sign, but she's topless, showing off her scars from her severed boobs. Even though the ideology says that she is now a man, and so this is a topless man, I guess technically I could show it. I don't trust YouTube not to say this is a topless female. And I'm not really interested in grossing you out anyway, so I'm going to censor the scenery. It is available uncensored on X if you really want to see it. But check out this moment.
Did you draw the swastika sign? Yes. You did? Is it pretty hard to do that?
To draw a couple lines? No.
No. Do you feel pretty good when you draw swastika signs?
Yeah, as a law enforcement officer, you can go.
I'm in a public space, right?
Yeah.
Are you in a public space?
Let's go. Let's go to talk to the
Hey,
Secret
don't touch
Service.
me.
Let's
Don't
go.
touch me.
Let's go.
Please don't touch me. I have every right because in a public space, right? Are you in a public space?
We had a question. She answered.
Do
you have a brain?
You're actually in a public space?
What do you want?
I'm just asking what's going on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you see what's going on? There's a bunch of people There's a bunch of people walking around. Stop.
Why are you trying to get violent?
Why am I trying to get violent?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why'd you come up to ask a minor about what's wrong with their chest?
Why are you here as a minor? I thought this was a conspiracy theory.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories that you have.
That's right.
Yeah.
I really would appreciate if you stopped following me and moving me.
You're wasting
and I
your
really
time
feel
on a
threatened.
piece of shit. Just like Trump, trash likes itself. So stay over here.
Yeah.
Have fun, bud.
Oh, okay. Nice little splash, huh?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Round them all up. These people are sick pedophile groomers.
Hey, it's nice to see the patriarch at work, all right? That man was reining in that young lady like there was no tomorrow.
Claiming to be a surgically mutilated minor out half nude in public unsupervised is not a dunk, actually. That's the strangest flex.
Yes.
But yes,
very strange.
How dare you question the hacked up children? They are the great philosophers of our time. And notice, again, avoiding the issue, avoiding the argument, avoiding the point. It's just weird. It's all weird flexes. It's all weird claims of status or stature to try to win. Oh, I'm a cop, he says. Let's go. I'm a cop. Let's go talk to Secret Service. Well, if you're a cop, why don't you arrest him for his supposed crimes? Why do you need to escort him over to Secret Service if you are a law enforcement officer? He's not. Yeah. But the point is, do as I say, I win based on who I am or whatever status I hold. This young woman, I'm a minor. So you do what I say and I win. Anything other than confronting the argument with evidence and reason, it's not even about like you agree with me or you don't. It's just, are you open to discussing the ideas that you think are important, hence you being out there protesting? Or is it just, I have something that makes me special and all my opponents are inferior to me and they will shut up when I tell them to? It's clearly the latter. But anyway, you have any thoughts on this particular display?
I'm just happy to see the patriarchy coming back. I'm real proud of that dude for reining in Is that her kid? Is that his kid or something? Is that just
I don't
some
know.
stranger?
Yeah, good question. What is the relationship between these two? Speaking of Secret Service investigation, you know, she might
Definitely worth
might want to look.
checking into.
Yeah, I would.
But I'm happy. I'm happy for the patriarchy.
Who
There
was
you go.
babysitting this minor that day?
I guess that dude right there. She
Okay.
got real mad when he killed China. Said, "No, let's not talk to him. Get the fuck out of my face, old man."
One of the bigger protests yesterday was in Philadelphia. Thousands of people, apparently. And this is a demonstration in the other part of this protest constituency. Now, you were saying that Melissa Hortman, former House Speaker in Minnesota, unfortunately murdered over the weekend, of course. She did not display significant strength in holding back her tears, signing on to the budget bill in Minnesota that, of course, prevented illegal immigrants from collecting health care.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that was actually uncommon female strength. If you want to see the norm of women in politics, older women in politics, maybe this is a little extreme.
Okay.
But yeah, here's the women of the boomer generation, the 1960s hippie protest demonstration generation, trying to have one last hurrah before they die. Check out this one from a Fox News report.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything, and I just am so scared and upset, and I don't understand why people did and voted for this person.
The American people are tired of women.
Oh my, she's 74 years old. Let me be nice today. I know I've been a little mean.
Okay, what do you got?
I'm 74 years old. I'm scared. It says, what? You're about to die.
What do you have to worry about?
I know, you're on your way out the door.
Go have a party. Live it up, man. But,
you're supposed to be having the time of your life right now. This is your golden years.
well, yeah, it goes to show you how deep the ideology runs. Even if people get scared, people get sad, okay? Women tend to be more irrationally scared and sad maybe than men, although, of course, male depression is also a significant thing. So even without dismissing the raw emotion of this, there is a place for human emotion, of course. The question is, who's going to solve this? You're scared. You're sad. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like something to deal with your family, lady. Perhaps your children, those closest to you. That is not a government problem. The government doesn't come and make you happy and confident and all these positive emotions that you want to have in your life. That's not the government's role, nor is it possible for the government to do that for you. And so when the argument becomes, I'm scared and I'm sad, and my condition would improve if only someone else was president, no, that's not the role of the president. That's not what the government is for at all. Focus on the family, please. But
well, that may be it. Maybe she disowned all her family. Maybe she burned all those bridges because of her politics.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she's scared.
Well, she needs a babysitter in the White House, apparently. But anyway, good news for her. Not only is she going to die soon, we're all going to die soon. Our time on this earth, very limited, because we're all about to get wiped out by nuclear World War III. Or Israel and other countries in the Middle East keep rocketing and bombing each other, and we're all footing the bill for much of this, of course. But Trump had been trying to negotiate a deal with Iran on nuclear development to ensure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. Iran says they just want to develop nuclear power for peaceful purposes. They don't want a weapon. No. We want green energy. We want to reduce our carbon footprint. We want nuclear power. Decide who you believe.
Yeah. Well, I'll grant it if Iran decides to become Christian.
All right, fair trade. You guys embrace Jesus Christ, and you can have all the nukes you want. Deal.
All the nukes you want, right? part of our secret crusade going on against the infidels.
All right. Send them the offer. See what they say. Worst they can say is no. Hey, worst they could say is actually to nuke your country. But as far as we can tell, they don't have that capability yet. But on Friday, Israel launched what they are calling a preemptive attack on Iran, saying that Iran was planning to attack them. Israel believes that Iran is developing a secret program to assemble a nuclear weapon, according to their intelligence, and that Iran has enough material to make 15 bombs within days. So it's not just that they're working on building a weapon, that it's imminent, according to Israel's claims and Israeli intelligence. And specifically in this New York Times report, that's an Israeli military official speaking with the New York Times. Not only is Iran working on weapons, but they are imminently capable of assembling them. This is like a tomorrow problem, not next year or a decade from now. So on Friday, Israel hit 6 Iranian military bases and housing complexes all over the country with airstrikes. And they took out a lot of people. 6 senior commanders in Iran's top military chain of command have been killed. They also took out 5 nuclear scientists. So military leadership and nuclear development has been significantly hit in Iran. On Saturday, yesterday, Israel also hit sites of other forms of energy in Iran, gas and petrochemical refineries. It is believed that Israel's strikes on Iran have killed over 400 and wounded 650 plus. This, according to a Washington, D.C. human rights organization. Iran's government has not issued any figures, so we don't know what they are saying. But that, of course, prompted Iran to respond. Iran has responded with their own missile barrages, and they have reportedly killed 13 Israelis and counting over the weekend. They've also reportedly injured 390 Israelis as well. There were videos of missiles hitting in downtown Tel Aviv and other parts of Israel. Israeli officials say that Iran has developed more sophisticated missiles because usually Israel's defenses against these sort of incoming missiles are pretty good. They just shoot them down. Over the weekend, we saw many of them actually hitting in urban centers and causing great damage to buildings and, of course, killing people as well. Apparently, Iran has developed its missiles to the point that they're a little more sophisticated in evading Israel's missile defense technology. So it's not a lot of these Iranian missiles that are getting through, but some and more than usual are getting through, apparently. The U.S. did not participate in Israel's attack on Iran, at least in any direct sense, but it has assisted defensively by helping to shoot down these incoming Iranian missiles. You had Marco Rubio over the weekend, Secretary of State, issuing a statement denying any U.S. involvement in the initial Israeli attack. He said Israel took unilateral action against Iran. U.S. is not involved in the strikes against Iran, but of course, with how much military aid we send, we are involved, whether we issued the order or approved it or not. I mean, we are involved.
Yeah, we are involved.
At least indirectly. Trump reportedly had asked the Israelis not to strike during these ongoing negotiations with Iran. The negotiations soured once again. Iran walked away from the table. These strikes happened. Was that against Trump's wishes? Trump also congratulated Israel on a successful operation after the initial airstrike. So it's kind of unclear what Trump's actual opinion of this is and was. But Trump likewise said on Truth Social that the U.S. had nothing to do with Israel's attack on Iran. But, and this is it's a big but, if an American is hit, if Iran retaliates against American forces in any way, the U.S. will respond at levels never seen before. So even if we're not technically in it, in a direct sense, even though financially, of course, we are, I mean, that's a statement that is, I'm not saying we're not justified in defending our people, but we're really dangling our toes over the edge of that pool. Hey, don't give me the slightest shove because I will... I don't know. What would the pool party metaphor be here? I kind of talked myself into an impossible position.
Well, seeing how Iran is located in the desert, they don't have a pool anymore. No. So looks like we're just going to be taking a big old sand bath.
Okay. We'll go with that.
I find this whole thing just as sketchy as the whole Minnesota thing. I mean, they said that they're developing weapons and better missiles and everything, so we got to strike first. It sounds like you guys jumped the gun, or at least looking for a reason to fight. That's one of the assumptions that I heard from a friend of mine. I'm not really pro-Israel and I'm not anti-Israel, but technically Israel is a state full of heretics in this case. If you know anything about
everybody has to embrace Jesus, and that's both of you. Get in line.
I mean, I know it's a joke, but what's wrong with that?
Well, y'all motherfuckers need Jesus everywhere. So that includes the Middle East. Fair enough. Put it this way. If Iran had nukes, do I have any doubt that they would happily nuke a lot of, first Israel, but potentially others too. I think that's a pretty fair assumption.
Yeah, they
that
also
said,
hate Iraq.
It seems like an Iranian tradition to hate a lot of things and a lot of people potentially.
Mm-hmm.
That said, to your point, we don't necessarily know their capabilities right now. We're just relying on claims that they have these capabilities ready to go. It would have been tomorrow. In a metaphor, like the claim from Israel's perspective is that Iran is pointing the gun right now. And that could be true, but we don't necessarily know that that's true. We just have to take the word of their intelligence. And I don't have a hard time believing at all that Iran would like to attack. Are they capable of it? Were they going to do it with that particular opportunity? Those details are much fuzzier, and that's where it gets much more. The details about the justification in the strike get a little sketchier. But I, of course, am not here to police the interaction of foreign countries. I am here to, like many. What side are you on? I'm on the American side. I'm on the side that's tired of spending billions of dollars we don't have to perpetuate this sort of conflict. Do I understand that our absence will have consequences? I do. I also I also believe that it's not necessarily our responsibility to be policing all of those things. That is to say, like in a neighborhood, in a town or neighbor metaphor, there are potentially conflicts among neighbors across town or maybe in a different state from mine, that I could theoretically successfully intervene to stop. Mm-hmm. And maybe I would do that well. And maybe I would do that in a way that preserves peace for the rest of my state or for people around me. However, that necessarily means I'm paying less attention to what's going on in my own home, what's going on in my own community. It means I'm allocating attention and resources in places well beyond my own my own closest sphere of influence. So just philosophically, I am not interested in U.S. involvement in these matters anymore. Israel is a big boy country. If Israel needs to defend itself, they can, and that's fine. We will allow Israel and Iran to sort that out. I'm tired of being some sort of international cop in this regard.
I'm right there with you. I have more of an isolationist attitude towards this. Like I said before, I mean, I'm not really pro-Israel or even anti-Israel. I just don't care, right? We got too many problems right here. This little tweet that Donald Trump said is that if we're attacked in any shape or form, we will retaliate. U.S. armed forces will come down on levels you've never seen before. He does the whole Trump big talk thing, right? I said, dude, if we get in a war, if World War III does come out, right? I don't know. I don't want to get involved in a war I don't care about, and I want to fight for people who don't care about me, right? I'm worried about my... No, go ahead.
The latter part of this Trump statement in general, I actually agree with, which is like, hey, you attack us, you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
The problem is that we are already involving ourselves in so many areas that we, to some degree, this is not justifying attacks on the U.S., of course, but when you are a party to all sorts of conflicts around the world, even indirectly, at some point you are putting yourself in position for that sort of conflict. Again, it doesn't mean that people are justified in attacking U.S. forces or something like that. That is it's just to say, if we care about managing our own affairs first, there's a lot less meddling in foreign affairs that we could be doing if we want to adopt the philosophy of mess with us and you'll regret it. Great. Let's do that. Let's not mess as much with other people. And if they mess with us, they'll regret it. Fair enough. That would be my foreign policy philosophy. But anyway, I'm sure there's a reason why that's naive and would never work and all that. But and maybe it is. Maybe it's foolish to think we have interests around the world. We have to defend. And if you don't defend them, then other people come in and they fill the power vacuum and you'll regret it because U.S. power will be diminished. So maybe it is. Maybe what I'm thinking is totally flawed. The other issue with this is we've tried this way for a very long time now, and it doesn't seem to be working particularly well. Could we try another method, or are we just going to keep banging our head against this brick wall?
So real quick, how you were just stating it says, if we don't do this, then the other guys are going to come in. I was listening to a debate between two Christians. One was for supporting Israel, one was against, right? The guy for made the biggest mistake in the debate, basically saying, if you don't support Israel, you support the Muslims taking over to win. And I was like, well, fuck you. What if you can support neither, right? You don't have to get involved with this. I understand that we have ties there now because we got some involvement because we just can't stay out of it. But that whole attitude. Oh, if we don't get involved here, then these guys. If we don't support this, then these guys are gonna take that. It's just okay. So be it then.
There's no indication that either side is going to back down either. Is Iran's position perpetually is Israel should not exist, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, his statement over the weekend, yesterday, was Israel will strike every site and every target of the Ayatollah's regime. So that's where we stand. And the whole situation is so insane. One of the funniest points of the weekend. I mean, it's not that funny because we're talking about a potential war scenario here, but things are so insane, so twisted, that Keith Olbermann is looking a little more sane.
Oh, wow. And Keith Olbermann looks sane.
On Friday,
you lost.
Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted, "Game on, pray for Israel." And Keith Olbermann replied, Game, your soul is lost.
Bingo.
That's my best Keith Olbermann impression. Not great, but I try. Even if you think that Israel's action is understandable, justified, to characterize the bombings, the airstrikes as a game to be celebrated, that should be a straw man. That should be a straw man position of war critics that nobody seriously holds. Here's Lindsey Graham being the straw man, like celebrating the pro-Israel position is Israel doesn't want war. Israel must defend itself from neighbors who want them to be destroyed. The whole pro-Israel position is Israel does not want war, but, okay? Lindsey Graham, no, I want game on. I love it. Okay.
I'll pray for Israel that they've slowly become Christian over time. That's my prayer.
Well, I mean, there's apparently a Boelter update. Sorry to divert a little bit, but what's the news? Because I told Tim to let me know if okay. Breaking, okay. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I think he has been detained.
Really?
There's breaking news. Minnesota assassin Vance Boelter arrested in woods near his Green Isle home. Task Force reporting. This is reporting as of like an hour ago. No,
okay.
Or no, 9:32. Is that Eastern? I don't know. Within the last couple hours. Multi-agency task force reportedly arrested Vance Boelter, Minnesota assassin, on Sunday night in the woods near his home. Okay. So we don't necessarily have a bunch more other than it sounds like they found him in that area where they found the car.
Really?
Near there. This is Green Isle, Minnesota. I don't know where that is actually. So let's see. Where is Green Isle? Is this like... Yeah, okay. So we're like western Twin Cities suburbs, southwestern Twin Cities suburbs. I don't know if this is close to where his car was found or not, but that's where they're saying he has been arrested as of a little earlier this evening. So breaking news there. We'll have to get more information on that as it becomes available. But thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. All right. Anything else you have to say on Iran and Israel before we move on?
Not really. I mean, not really.
All right,
fair enough. I'm just
enough.
tired of all this.
I'll get back to the immigration protests because I got to talk about Senator Alex Padilla.
Okay.
Do you even know who this guy is? Because it's relevant. If you
no,
know.
I don't.
That's a good point. I'm glad you don't because it's important. Senator Alex Padilla, he actually replaced Dianne Feinstein when she died. He was appointed by Gavin Newsom. He has since won re-election to that seat. So he's a duly elected senator from California. Actually, or did he replace Feinstein or Kamala? Fact check me on that. I can't remember. He replaced one of the two because those were very close. Anyway, he's actually the senior senator from California now because, of course, Adam Schiff. It's Schiff who replaced Feinstein. He must have replaced Kamala. I must have got that wrong. But anyway, see, nobody knows who this guy is. That's the point. Alex Padilla, senator from California, made himself a victim of supposedly abusive police force on Thursday. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem was giving a press conference in L.A. about immigration enforcement. And the California senator he just walked into the press conference. He starts walking at the podium where she's speaking, demanding answers to his questions. And since this is not question and answer time, and since he kept advancing, Noem's security team stopped him and they cuffed him.
Guys, ready? And Bell. Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is I have a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go and put them behind my back.
All right, cool. Other hand, lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
Look at this fat.
See, he was not actually arrested. He was not charged with a crime. He just presented an unknown threat in the moment, so he was dealt with. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to make this event about Kristi Noem refusing to answer any questions. Of course, he's a victim of the Tyrant King too. He says he was just there to ask a question. That's all he was trying to do. But Trump and his people, they won't take any questions without putting people in handcuffs.
I just couldn't accept the rhetoric anymore. So I had the audacity to try to ask a question. I introduced myself. I'm Senator Alex Padilla, and I have a question. And it took all of maybe a second for multiple agents to forcibly remove me from the room.
Did I not think I have working eyes to the point where he was trying to bomb rush the podium?
Well, of course, he wasn't just asking a question. He was interrupting the event, to your point. But there's a smaller lie than that in there. He says, well, I introduced myself before asking. No, you didn't. Watch the video. He only identified himself after security was already detaining him.
Secretary, I want to know why you insist
so I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this.
Hands up.
Also, I want to talk
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is,
Sir, I'm a senator, sir. They always do this sir bit whenever they're confronted by people. But so what? So what if you are a senator? Nobody, senator or not, gets to interrupt.
No.
Senators don't get to do that. Us plebs don't get to do that. But that's what Padilla is going with. Well, if not even a very important senator like me can ask a question, well, how would you, the common man, have any hope of interacting with these people?
But I think most importantly is the outrage that I hope people feel. If this can happen to a United States senator for having the audacity to ask a question of the Secretary of Homeland Security, then just imagine what can happen to anybody in the country.
You show a picture of this guy to the average person, then I was like, who the fuck is this?
Exactly. On principle, please stop elevating yourself above everybody else, okay?
They always do this.
If no one is above the law, then you being a senator is actually irrelevant. You're just a guy like the rest of us. But they still do this. I'm so important. Look at me. Look what they did to me. You're at risk. That's point A. Stop elevating yourself in that way. But point B, even if that's true, that you're above us in some level of recognizability or importance, he didn't have anything happen to him. He wasn't arrested or charged with a crime. He was just removed from a situation he was interrupting. So what hope do we, the common men, have? Pretty good, actually, if the biggest threat toward us is we might get removed from a room and then be let free to go. Oh, no, not that. Anything but that.
Was anything stopping him from just waiting until the question section started?
No,
and then
of course
ask his
not.
question?
It was just showmanship.
And what rhetoric did he had enough of? There was a lot of vagueness in that statement.
Well, and the first thing he said, back to the point of the protests over the weekend, most importantly, I hope people feel outraged. That's the most important thing. It's not the principles of due process. It's not the principles of immigration. It's not some big important principle that you think you're highlighting. It's just, most importantly, I hope people feel outrage. That is the primary intent of what I'm doing. And Padilla is now saying there are serious questions about whether Noem should resign for that. She should be out of office for having a security team just remove a guy who was doing something weird and sketchy and disrupting the event. And this morning he was on CNN's show and he says his defense that he's going with now is, or or what he's saying now is that Noem's defense of, I didn't even know who that guy was, so we had to remove him because he was just seemed like a crazy person. He says that's unsatisfactory because what does it say about her, Kristi Noem, not to know who a California senator is? To your point earlier, it says that she's like 90+% of Americans who have no idea who the hell this guy even is. So get over yourself. And the problem is you can't call yourself... You want to have the argument both ways. You want to say, oh, I'm so important. I'm such a big, important senator. Well, you're not a hero of the common man if you view yourself as separate and distinct in that way. Oh, yeah. What business does she have in a cabinet position in the executive if she doesn't even know who I am, a big, awesome, important person who's also apparently just like the common man in every way. Either you relate to the common person or you don't, but he jumps back and forth between those two premises.
They just can't help themselves, can they?
You know who's even more forgettable in the Senate than Alex Padilla?
I don't even remember who this guy is.
Yeah, if I didn't show you his name, you wouldn't be able to do it. There was a whole actually funny Saturday Night Live bit about how forgettable Tim Kaine is. And Tim Kaine, of course, Hillary's VP candidate, senator from Virginia, he said on CNN on Friday.
Is that who he is?
Yes, Hillary's VP candidate. That's him. He said on CNN on Friday that the handcuffing of Padilla that we just saw, that was one of the most outrageous things he's ever seen in his entire life.
It was one of the most outrageous things I've ever seen in 67 years on the planet, John. He attended a meeting at the federal office building. He walked into a public press conference, and when the secretary said something about she was there to liberate Los Angeles from its government, he tried to ask a question, and he was manhandled, forced out of the room, tackled, and handcuffed. The First Amendment guarantees the right to all Americans. We can peacefully assemble and petition government for redress of grievances. That action yesterday and the Trump actions more generally in deploying the military into a situation where there's no need for them is an intent to suppress legitimate dissent against Trump policies.
Shut up, faggot.
Okay, so you're paying attention to his facial expression, right?
I guess I didn't note it. What did you observe?
He's smiling the entire time. Have you ever noticed that whenever a tragedy happens, they smile about
They
it?
have a sick smirk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, Bering did a video on this years ago about how, you remember Bubba Wallace, that race car driver?
the NASCAR news guy.
And remember how everybody was super happy that there was a racial news or something like that, right? And they seemed pretty smile about it. And then when it turned out to just be part of the garage and all garages had that, notice how their faces kind of dropped and they're more somber about it, right?
Yeah, it's opportunity. This guy, he's the most outrageous thing or one of the most outrageous things you've ever seen in your life. This guy has seen the inside of the Clinton machine. Forget the Clinton body count. This guy has seen the Clinton body stacks. And he wants me to believe that removing someone from a room for disrupting is one of the most outrageous things he's ever seen. Oh, the First Amendment. There's no First Amendment issue here. He could have asked a question if he had simply waited for his turn, waited for his time. You don't have a First Amendment right to disrupt and heckle a speaker at will. And there isn't even a criminal charge anyway. What a threat to the First Amendment. There's no prosecution here. There's no citation here. There's zero legal implication other than, hey, someone's talking. Could you please shut the hell up until your turn? No? Okay, well, we're going to move you over there then. How about you respectfully wait your turn and then there's no problem? That's not a First Amendment issue. And believe me, I'm very sensitive to threats on the First Amendment, okay? It's important to me, okay? That's not, what we just saw is not a threat to the First Amendment. That is absolutely preposterous.
That's a publicity stunt. That's what that was.
Well, I have a few items for update before we get to Hoax Hate. Now, did you see the stream on Wednesday? And or have you seen this clip? Okay.
Yes, I have.
Back to the immigration protests and riots, which I guess Padilla was kind of related to anyway. But there's an update from maybe the biggest meme character to emerge out of this round of protests and riots. The viral clip was from Savannah Hernandez and Frontlines, and I originally thought this was in L.A. on Wednesday when we talked about it, but it's actually New York City.
Oh, really?
Where it happened isn't necessarily strictly relevant, but a black woman was asking white protesters to kindly move out of the street so she can go to work to provide for her children. And this seemingly high or drunk or both man bun guy mocked her for wanting to go to work.
How do y'all as white people feel about stopping a black woman from going to work?
Oh no, not work. I care so much.
So you don't care about stopping black people from going to work?
Look at this line that you guys are causing. I'm not causing no problems. I'm not trying to. We're just trying to leave.
You suck.
The one time I
Trump
need you to be
deports you.
the one time I need you to be an N-word and you don't do it. You failed me.
As we were talking about on Wednesday, the hammer punches would have been rightfully deployed.
The one time I need you to be a nigga and you just don't do it. Why is this the only time?
So one wonders, and one could assume, why this man apparently enjoys the luxury of not thinking work is important, mocking work's importance even. From where does he get his livelihood? From where does he get his sustenance? How is he able to afford his tall boys to be so casually drinking on a weekday in the middle of the day? Maybe he actually is smarter than all of us, though apparently he did pay something of a significant price for his paycheck. But I guess he's scammed a lot of money out of the public for his own personal payday. According to the Daily Mail, this guy is 36-year-old Trevor Britvec, and public records show that Britvec recently sued the city of New York, alleging his civil rights were violated by NYPD when he was arrested at a Black Lives Matter protest during, of course, the Summer of Love, July 2020.
You can't make this shit up.
So he got a bunch of money out of the city because supposedly his civil rights were violated when he was protesting. But listen to what exactly happened here. In the suit, Britvec said he's an Army veteran who served in Afghanistan and alleged that NYPD officers pushed him off a bike. Cyclist confirmed, so you know how he behaves.
You are loose. I'm right there with you with the cyclists.
Pushed him off his bike, struck him with a police baton, and then shoved the baton up his buttocks as he was arrested.
Good. That's a big game, man.
You can't convince me he did not ask for that butt baton. He did. He 100% did. But nonetheless, in February 2024, the city reached a settlement and agreed to pay him and I guess other protesters $115,000. I don't know if he personally collected $115,000, if that was a group sum. I'm unclear on that. But he collected a sizable amount of money because he got baton raped by the cops. Something like this. We don't have a photo of the baton getting shoved up his buttocks as the lawsuit
Maybe it's
alleged.
floating around somewhere.
Maybe it's still up there. There's probably a lot of things up there by the look of this man.
Sounds like a gay porno gone wrong, man.
But whether he got butt batoned or not, this guy is out being a degenerate on the streets of New York in 2020 to perpetuate a fraud about George Floyd. He's stopping everybody from doing their jobs back at that point. He then collects money off the backs of honest, hardworking taxpayers so he can buy these stupid tall boys and then block more people from being productive 4 years later, 5 years later. This guy, maybe he really has perfected the art of the scam. Maybe he needs to move to Nigeria or something. Maybe I'm the sucker. Maybe we're all the suckers for actually working hard. And when he says, oh, no, don't work, why don't you just sue the city of New York? Why don't you let them butt baton you and get $115,000 and do what I do and just drink tall boys?
Man, the one thing I find is super ironic. He was at a Black Lives Matter protest, but stops a black woman from going to work. I guess her black livelihood didn't matter.
No, of course not.
In that case.
Only
And if he
the
does
butt
move to
baton
Nigeria, if he does move to Nigeria, he can have all the black batons he wants.
All right. Every once in a while, a politician posts something on social media that is so unintentionally hilarious, so unintentionally cringe that I can't believe it was seriously posted. Case in point, Amy Klobuchar, senator from Minnesota, apparently on the shooter's hit list. But before that, as part of this ongoing budget battle at the federal level, remember there's a budget battle in Minnesota, but she's in the U.S. Senate, so she's talking about what's going on at the federal level. Democrats keep saying that Republicans want to cut benefits, Medicaid, food stamps, other things. The truth is, Republicans are aiming to reduce fraud and waste. hey, let's stop the scamming by the butt baton people just a little bit. Let's just get that under control.
I agree.
Maybe let's even have some work requirements for things like food stamps. Okay, so you can't just collect food stamps forever and not work. It's supposed to help you out at a point of desperation, but it's not supposed to be a permanent benefit.
Yeah, that's what they do in my hometown.
Amy Klobuchar wants you to believe that Republicans are just stealing food from hungry, desperate kids, of course. But to make that point, she tweets out the following. Today, we heard from Felicia, a single mom of 4 who works up to 3 jobs at a time to make ends meet. She counts on SNAP, or food stamps, to help put food on the table. This is who Republicans in Congress are trying to take food away from. Yes, can you imagine taking food away from this woman?
As an employee of the school district, I only get paid once a month. By the time I get my bills paid, I have nothing left to pay for food and other basic needs. If it wasn't for SNAP benefits, I wouldn't be able to feed my children or myself. I work, pay my bills, and like every other mom, I want to be sure that I have enough food to put on the table.
That's a huge bitch.
All right, before you start, Tortuga, I saw your comment. Please forgive me. That bitch looks like she eats her. I don't know. You can't tell me you're starving, bro. Why don't you just eat your own flesh?
Someone clearly should have taken away her food years and years, if not decades ago.
Years ago. No Papa John's for you. And you working 3 jobs? How the hell do you still need SNAP for that?
Well, that's the facts are very confused. I'll get to that in a moment. But do we have confirmation that the children actually received any food? Much like that mutilated minor at the DC protest. Will someone please, give a welfare check to these children?
Definitely worth checking into.
They were eaten years ago, like you said.
She's a teacher, right? Is she eating all the kids' lunch food?
She's like the bus driver in Billy Madison or something like that. Okay. This woman has a combination of a job in public schools, as she describes. That in combination with her public benefits, she's 100% reliant on the public dollar. Okay, I get it. There are government jobs that need to be done. I'm not taking shots at all of them. I'm just saying this is a woman who 100% of her income and her food supply is the government. The taxpayers covering 100% of her bills. And look at what it has made her. If you're listening to this, go watch the clip. Okay, I can't even describe to you. I mean, I guess I can, but
that's a huge bitch.
You have to see it, okay? The argument here should not be imagine if government benefits were denied to her. The argument should be this is what government reliance makes you into when you are 100% dependent on the government to provide you with everything from a job to the food that you put in your mouth. This is what will become of you. Mm-hmm. That is the argument that needs to be made here. Don't let this sort of government dependence happen to you or anybody else. But you had some questions about the facts here.
Yes.
Amy Klobuchar isn't even right about the facts. And there's a good response to Amy Klobuchar's tweet clarifying. She's not working 3 jobs right now. She said, I worked 3 jobs back when my first child was born 21 years ago. Her child... Excuse me, one of her children that she's trying to feed is a 21-year-old adult. Why does this woman like the SNAP program so much? Well, as Ben Dempsey here is explaining on X, presumably because when you have one job that is insufficient to provide for her family, which she's describing, I have one job, I get paid once a month from the school district. And notice she doesn't describe how many hours she works. What is this job situation? Well, presumably with the guarantee of food stamp benefits, she can afford to work fewer hours, maybe have some more free time, and still have money or that food supply that's covered. The system shouldn't work that way. This is not free food forever. It's desperate. It's a program for you when you're in a desperate circumstance, while you're looking for work, when you're in between jobs, whatever the situation is. When you're working as hard as you can and you need a little bit of help to get from point A to point B, that's the intent. It's not just free Cheetos for the rest of your life while you work maybe, I don't know. Again, I noticed she didn't describe the hours she works. And I think that's important. Sometimes what they don't say is as important as what they do say. She's not working 3 jobs right now. Amy Klobuchar is full of shit on that. 3 jobs 21 years ago while I'm taking care of my children. I'm sure she is, and I know that's challenging, okay?
Yeah.
Your 21-year-old adult needs to also go out and get a job and buy his or her own damn food. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. It's called money management.
Anyway, I just... it's the image. This is who Republicans in Congress are trying to take food away from. I just
see now. I have to call a question.
Serious.
This video was taken recently, right?
I think it was congressional testimony at some point recently. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why couldn't they just find somebody who was skinny and was starving? They could have found a starving African immigrant and just used them.
There are so many concentration camps in this Hitler country. Why don't you just go scoop a person from them?
They couldn't have picked up. Why did they do this to themselves?
I can't believe. I actually am shocked that this woman willingly participated in this charade. Yeah. Anyway, you ready for a little hoax hate?
Yeah, man. Let's go for it.
And now the nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards. You think they'll notice?
Well, they actually did see it happen. They recorded a video of it happening, as we'll see in a moment. In Spokane, Washington, a teacher at West Valley High School has now been fired, or his contract has been terminated, after he read the full hard R N-word as quoted in Harper Lee's classic novel To Kill a Mockingbird. Did you ever read that one in school?
Yeah, it was a requirement.
Yeah, I read that a long time ago, too. I don't remember much about it other than there was a trial, and the little girl's name was Scout. And I like that name. That's a cool name.
I don't even remember all of that. It was just something I had to get through in order to pass the class.
I know that it was the trial of a black man in the. I can't remember all the. I know the racial themes in the book, but I can't remember the circumstances in which the hard R was dropped. But it was anyway. A student secretly captured video of this offense.
You believe a word he says, Bill? I said Calpurnia says that's talk. Then darkly at me said, well, are we going to play something or not?
The N-word, that's a very nasty word.
Now, my sources say that the reading is accurate from the book. This is clearly just the teacher reading the book as written, not inserting his own N-word commentary. The teacher, his name is Matthew Mastronardi. And the case is maybe slightly complicated in that he's not actually the English teacher teaching this book as part of his curriculum at the school. He is was a Spanish teacher. But why he read that is because he heard some of his students discussing how they were instructed to skip over the N-word in their reading of To Kill a Mockingbird in their other class. And he said, well, that's silly. That undermines the book's historical context. And actually that disrespects the author's intent in the writing. You don't just get to rewrite, whether it's one word or not, you don't just get to rewrite someone's book because you consider it offensive or something like that. Well, and one student tried to call his bluff. What? You wouldn't say it out loud. You won't do it. No balls. That's how this went. You won't read it. You won't say it. And apparently Mr. Mastronardi took the dare and he did it. And after he read it, he was given a warning. He was given a warning by the principal at the school and an ultimatum. So I guess it was, I don't know if he initially got a warning and then they said, no, actually, we're going to get rid of you. But he says he was given an ultimatum. He could either resign or he would not have his contract renewed at the end of the school year. Well, he refused to resign. We're now at the end of the school year, and so Mastronardi has had his contract terminated. I think the actual N-bomb drop was sometime a couple months ago in April or something. The school administration is saying the decision to let him go wasn't solely due to the N-word incident, but they're not providing other reasons why he was let go. Now, there might be other reasons. Typically for personnel matters, schools aren't just going to say like, yeah, that guy was a big piece of shit. Here's reason X, Y, and Z. They're just not going to tell you. So maybe there are some other things, but if there are other things, it's not as though all the students hated him or thought he was some terrible racist or something like that. Because a lot of the kids want him back. Even interestingly, he says that the teachers union won't actually defend him. Oh, is this the cat appearance we were worried about?
Yes.
All right.
He was doing so well up until this point.
Yeah, the teachers union, he says the teachers union has been unhelpful and actively resistant. So a lot of these teachers unions, oh, go ahead, touch a kid. We'll defend you then. If you say the N-word, though, I don't know if they actually will defend you if you touch a kid. I shouldn't spear them that way. I'm just saying teachers unions will defend some shit. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't defend saying the hard RN in a literary context.
So why have the book in the school in the first place then if you're that afraid of it?
You can't have why don't they just get a censored version? I don't know. But again, the kids are sticking up for him. There's a petition to reinstate him at the school. 2,000 signatures. Give, Send, Go fundraiser for him that's earned about $7,000. According to that Give, Send, Go, or at least according to the picture that I saw, it looks like he's a guy with a family. It looks like a wife and 3 kids that he's got to provide for, and it looks like a newborn if this is a recent photo. But no more N-bombs in English class in school.
That's real tragic because once upon a time I wanted to be an English teacher.
Would they have let you get away with it if you had dropped it?
Probably. I mean, if they fired me, I'll just claim racism.
I guess.
We get a whole bunch of money that way. We gonna be rich.
See, that's the thing. You don't even have to deal with the butt baton. You can just claim victimhood in other cleaner, less gay ways, and you could collect a check that way. Ultimately, you know what's going to happen? You're going to, one day, hopefully a long time from now, Joshy Boy, when you and I go our separate ways, all you have to do is file a federal civil rights lawsuit against me. You can collect whatever I have to my name, which unfortunately is not as much as the butt batoning, but maybe I'll have some luck in a few years' time or something. You can take everything I have, you can ruin my business, and you can cash out that way when you just accuse me of some sort of racially discriminatory workplace environment.
Mm-hmm. So, he cracked the whip on me too many damn times.
Okay, one last story, and then we'll call it a night. But in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, activists are trying to create a new type of hate crime, and that is hate littering. And I would say this is the first I've ever heard of hate littering, but they did something similar in Florida. In fact, this story and these activists reference what was done in Florida as part of what they're trying to do. At least I think it was done in Florida. I'm not clear if it's actually signed into law now or if it's just an idea, but Florida's doing something similar. Last month, in a Jewish neighborhood of Pittsburgh, some guy allegedly drove around tossing anti-Semitic literature in weighted baggies for people to find. So he's got Ziploc bags with papers in them that say, "I don't like Jews, here's why." And you're supposed to discover it. And wow, this man really doesn't like Jews. I think I'll go to his website and learn more. That was the idea. That's apparently, I don't have an example flyer, but based on the description, that's what we're looking at. And those in the neighborhood were outraged. And understandably so. Okay, I don't want things littered in my neighborhood, regardless of the perspective. Mm-hmm. But I also don't want things littered in my neighborhood that say things like "You suck, fuck you." I'd prefer not to have that either. So I get it. You don't want random people just tossing junk around your neighborhood. That's not the problem. It's that what police could do about this was viewed as insufficient. So generally speaking, the literature, the flyers. Police couldn't do anything about it at a high level because it didn't rise to the level of the ethnic intimidation laws in Pittsburgh and in Pennsylvania. The literature didn't threaten anyone, according to this description. It just, again, it said, "I don't like Jews. Here's why." Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at that.
The thing that, maybe it was funny. I don't know. I didn't see it. There are littering laws. So the person who is accused of doing this actually received 160 separate litter-related citations. So it's not as though he just got away with it. He's got 160 littering citations because he apparently chucked 160 of these things around. At least he's accused of that. But that's not good enough. These activists want more. They want to make this type of littering extra illegal. And so Pittsburgh activists are looking to replicate the Florida model. In Florida, according to this reporting, there's a provision in the state's public nuisance statute that prohibits a person from distributing on private property any material for the purpose of intimidating or threatening the owner, resident, or invitee of such property. A violation is a first-degree misdemeanor, but if, in violating that law, there is a credible threat, then the charge gets upgraded to a third-degree felony and is considered a hate crime under the law. So we are looking at potentially felony hate littering is what we're crafting here.
That sounds like a stupid law.
For such a charge to actually apply, such a serious charge, the target of the hate littering must reasonably believe the perpetrator has the ability to carry out a threat. So even if this law was on the books, I'm not sure this case would apply because, again, there's no explicit threat as described. It's just a guy saying, here's my opinion and here's why. Even if you strongly disagree with the opinion, that's what it says. And this is so over the top that even the ACLU, which of course has turned its back on many civil liberties principles in recent years and has effectively just become a progressive left advocacy organization, even the ACLU said, okay, this is actually kind of insane. Sarah Rose, the deputy legal director for the ACLU in Pennsylvania, says, if you're banning leaflets because of the viewpoint expressed in it, you've run straight up against very important First Amendment principles. She said this, noting that even using viewpoint to enhance the penalty of something like littering is problematic. Quote, then who gets to decide what speech or viewpoint is hateful or qualifies?
You see, I would applaud this if they just weren't full of shit.
What do you mean?
The ACLU, I mean, they're right.
Oh, if they weren't sticking up for the rights of the problem with the ACLU in many ways is number one, they haven't stuck with the free speech principles in all contexts in recent years. But number two, I think they've lost track of the A. Most recently, they care more about defending the rights of foreign people without the legal right to be here in the immigration context. It's the Foreign Civil Liberties Union for the most part in their recent activism. But so this is just like the hate crime concept for actual crimes. It's a way of punishing viewpoint. If I spread a bunch of flyers that say the opposite, Jews are very cool and I love them all, but I'm littering it across your neighborhood in a way that you didn't want. That's mostly legally fine. I'm still citable under the littering laws, but I'm not going to face potentially a felony for saying Jews are very cool and I love them so much. If you reverse the perspective and say the opposite, what this guy did, Jews suck and I hate them, that is potentially a felony charge, at least these activists would like it to be. The only difference in those two acts, they're both distributing pieces of paper in an unwelcome way in a neighborhood, littering. The only difference is the opinion. So you're making the opinion the difference between potentially a felony and a citation with a small fine. The First Amendment does not allow that sort of viewpoint discrimination, but one of the neighbors quoted in this Pittsburgh Post-Gazette story, I mean, this last quote in here is insane. He says something to the effect of, if the community that is supposedly targeted just feels threatened, well, that's all that matters. Quote, they've thrown this at them while they're walking on the sidewalk. So the guy with the flyers, they've thrown this at them while they're walking on the sidewalk, or their children pick up these up and read them. I understand that some people can be very dismissive. This is First Amendment protected speech. It's just a flyer, but it's not just a flyer. It's daunting. Okay. You don't get a feelings veto over everybody else. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean others don't have the right to do it. And regardless, they don't have the right to litter in your neighborhood anyway. They don't have the right to litter anywhere. The guy who distributed these flyers actually got cited with the appropriate offense. He littered. He got littering citations. End of criminal matter once you actually get him punished for that. That's what he did. The viewpoint with which he did the littering is completely irrelevant. In the same way that if I go to the convenience store and I steal a candy bar, but I love the owner so much. In fact, I stole it to make it into a gift. I was going to take the Snickers bar. I was going to put it in gift wrap for him and his family to celebrate his birthday because I love him so much. But the fact of the matter is I stole the candy bar from him. That's the same crime as if I go into his convenience store and I steal the Snickers bar because I hate that guy because he's a huge piece of shit. My opinion of him has no relevance to achieving justice for the crime that was committed. The crime is I took the candy bar. The opinion with which I did the stealing doesn't matter. Likewise, the criminal matter here, if you can even call it that, is distributing paper in an unwelcome way. You're messing up the neighborhood with garbage, effectively. You're littering. You suck or you're cool is not legally relevant to the question of did you litter or not. They're actually the same crime with different viewpoints. But the reality that this sort of thing, this sort of activism doesn't, I guess, understand is even the criminal has a right to his viewpoint, you know? Like, he doesn't have a right to his crimes against you, but he has a right to whatever viewpoint he has or wants in his head when he's living his everyday life or even when he's committing the crime. So viewpoint can't be punished in that way.
Yeah. So you know what I'm disappointed by the most with this hoax hate? The littering, what I would have done if I was that bold or whatever, I would have had lots of paper arranged in swastikas and just threw them out just all over the place. That's what I would have done.
Wait, what? Say you would have done what to be a neighborhood Nazi?
So you know how there's always a swastika involved, especially when it comes to the Jewish community. I guess, yeah. If I really wanted to pull a fast prank, I would just arrange pieces of paper into forms of swastikas.
Oh, okay. Blank paper.
Everywhere. Yeah, blank paper.
I see. Like go to a bulletin board and just blank paper. Yeah, is that hate littering? Good question. I don't know. I hadn't thought of that though. I mean, we've seen swastikas cleverly applied in any number of ways. How about this? How about if I make the swastika in freshly cut roses to demonstrate how much I appreciate the neighborhood? You know, I build them an impromptu rose garden. You know, the problem is I modified their property without permission. It doesn't. Yeah. That's it. If I draw a smiley face in roses that I didn't have permission to do, same thing. But we're going to act like if you have this opinion, it's that's the difference between this sort of thing will never stand up to First Amendment scrutiny if actually challenged in court. But the point is continually losing touch with our connection to the principles of the First Amendment here. Anyway, that's all I got. And Tim informs me that there is actually a Vance Boelter, Minnesota assassin guy press conference starting imminently. We've been going for 2.5 hours and I still got to catch up with Superchats. So I'm not going to tune into that, but if people want to catch up on that for reference, either live or if you're listening later, that is available if you want all the information on the arrest of the mystery mask police dress up Minnesota assassin guy. That's going on right about now. But let's catch up with Superchat and we'll call it a night. So let me move over into, I'm going to go to Rumble first. Steve, OUK, why does a nation sitting on acres of oil need nuclear power? Yeah, I think it's probably a fair assumption that Israel or that Iran is not being completely forthright with their claimed reason to need nuclear enrichment, that they're just all they want is a clean and efficient power source for their people. Yeah, I wouldn't be so naive as to believe that. That said, I suppose if the principles of self-defense apply similarly in international relations as they do with an individual, let's say that like my neighbor's kooky and I have reason to believe he has a firearm or is assembling one in his garage. And I know that he hates me. In fact, he even says like, I would kill him given the chance. Does that justify me going and gunning him down or taking preemptive action against him? I'm not even asking rhetorically. I'm thinking about this in real time. Like at what point does kooky neighbor guy cross the line where you are allowed to defend yourself? I mean, the answer in the interpersonal sense is like when he's pointing the gun at you. Or I guess it's even maybe earlier than that, when he issues a credible threat and he has the capability to act on it. And maybe that's what's going on here. I mean, there's no shortage of stated threats from Iran, that's for sure.
I just think Israel acted too preemptively, though. It says, we believe this and we know that they have this. Yeah, but they hadn't directly attacked you. And now they have
they have in many, in this particular episode, maybe not. They have in many ways prior, of course, but
yeah,
they didn't. They weren't the initial aggressor in this particular episode, unless, well, the way that you'd have to qualify it is threats were made and capabilities are known to exist. Therefore, threat plus capability equals, valid self-defense situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll take your point, Steve. I don't believe the Iranians when they, that they just want to be, it's just like Springfield. They just want nuclear power. That's all. They're just, going the old Mr. Burns route.
Mm-hmm.
They probably do want to do some things with that nuclear enrichment. Ramsey C. Just want to tell everyone to like and share, or you're a limp-wristed, salad-tossing, fudge-packing retard.
You're a faggot.
Who can't beat old Joe in a debate. Like or share and take it take it as your own. Well, or beat old Joe in a push-up contest. Nobody does. Thank you, Ramsey. I appreciate your support for the show. Dangerous Spaces. I'm a senator. Who gives a shit? You were trying to push toward the podium, you dumb fucking knuckle.
Yeah.
And you didn't stop once you were being pushed back, making it seem even more threatening, dumbass. Yeah, well, that's the... Could you imagine? Yes, I could imagine going and sitting calmly at a press conference. You know what's not going to happen to me if I do? I'm not going to get detained, arrested, handcuffed, whatever happened there.
And then when you ask the questions, you can identify yourself.
Well,
See, is that easy?
The thing is, I don't know if Kristi Noem actually took questions at that press conference or not. Maybe there was a Q&A section. Maybe there wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever was going on there, you don't just interrupt a speaker in the middle of giving a speech. You might seek clarification. Do we get to ask questions at this event or not? But who would ever think they just get to go disrupt a speaker and not be removed? If they could do that to a senator, they could do that to anybody. Oh, well, okay. I'm willing to risk that, I guess. I think that's the most annoying part about all this like immigration fear-mongering and stuff right now. Oh, if they can do this, you're next. No, I'm not. Okay, no, I'm going to show them my U.S. citizenship. They're going to be like, oh, well, sorry for the mistake. See you later. I'm not getting deported to El Salvador. I'm not going to CCOT. I'm not going to some foreign land mistakenly. Oh, that's because you're white. It's all on the basis of race. No, it is not. No, it is not. It is on the basis of having the documentation that the guy that you talked to in Nuga said nobody needs or is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, that's all we got on Rumble. Appreciate you guys over there. Let me catch up on Odyssey. Let's see. Blankets asked me why I didn't like Spaceballs. Go back and read my review. I don't say that dismissively. I say that to...
Oh, you have a review on it.
Yeah, we did review it. I can't remember... Well, I mean, I guess I could... let me see if I can find it. This is going to take a second, so bear with me. But I'm going to go into my archive and see if I can find... the Spaceballs review. And actually, don't worry, this won't take that long, because thanks to our friendly listener and data guy, Michael Schlecht, he put together a good reference system for all the movie reviews I did while we were still doing them. So let me see if I can... Yes, here is the entry in the database. Here is the review. Let's see. Let's identify why I didn't like Spaceballs. Let's pull it up. Things I liked about it, there were like 2 or 3 funny jokes, and the Pizza the Hut effect was decent. Like the actual practical effect. Let's see. Things I didn't like. How did they skip the main Star Wars character? As in, they didn't even have a Luke Skywalker character. There's no R2-D2. There's no Obi-Wan. So a lot of the main Star Wars characters were absent. A lot of the bits were just really dull and didn't really have anything to do with Star Wars anyway. Like if you're making a satire of something, you would think you would mock that thing. There were a lot of dad jokes in it. Like, you know, the radar's jammed by actual jam.
Yeah.
The guy's name is asshole. The helmet is bigger than it's supposed to be. There are a lot of things that just aren't Star Wars jokes. They're just kind of regular dad jokes put in a Star Wars setting. And also, I thought it's short and somehow still way too long. So it just drags. And I identified a bunch of things that weren't really relevant anyway.
Yeah.
But
for me, it's just because as a kid, it just made fun of Star Wars, and I loved Star Wars.
Not good enough making fun of Star Wars is apparently what I thought. When did I review this? That was September 2nd of 23. So.
Oh, wow. About 2 years ago.
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
Year and a half.
Yeah. So that's why. And you can go in the archive of my website if you want to read that review. But Blanket's sending me more memes, of course, as well. Appreciate that. All right, let me give a refresh on YouTube and Tippy, and then we'll be out of here.
I just don't understand why they're trying to make a second one now. Just let it be.
Yeah, well, the movie industry's desperate these days. Long Dong John, I'm Team MAGA. Make asylums great again. Oh, desperately need them.
Yes.
Yeah, please, by all means. There's nothing human. It's not even like I hate these deranged, drug-addicted bums, whatever. There's nothing humane about leaving people who can't care for themselves out on the street as though they can. The problem with California and Oregon and Washington, a lot of these West Coast places, we see it on the East Coast too, but especially in the West Coast, they thought that the problem with homeless people is that they just lack opportunity, or they lack some sort of resource. Like, if only you gave them a room to live in, if only you gave them food, if only you gave them safe injection sites to deal with their drug addiction or whatever it is. That can help a very small segment of these bums who are in a situation where they would like help, but it wasn't available to them. For a lot of these people, it's a lifestyle choice for some of them. And for others, they're legitimately mentally ill and or drug addicted.
Yeah.
They're not capable of making decisions for themselves. And believe me, I don't like the idea of scooping people off the street involuntarily and just putting them in. But if you accept the premise that these people are so out of their mind, crazy and or drug addicted, that they're not capable of making an adult decision in the same way that your child is not capable of making an adult decision, the humane thing is not to leave people who can't fend for themselves out to fend for themselves. The humane thing is to put them in a place where they actually will be cared for. And not a burden on society, at least less of a burden on society. I don't like making people wards of the state either. But the truth is, if you leave them out on the sidewalk, they're still a dependent of the state. They're still leeching off other people in any number of ways. They're just becoming an unfair obstacle to people who are out there
who actually
being producers in this economy, living their lives. And there's just nothing humane about the homelessness approach that's been taken.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised just how many of the homeless are actually there by choice.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of those guys wandering around too. They make more money panhandling than they do just working a regular job, and a lot of them just don't want to pay taxes.
I've told that story many times. There's a kid I went to high school with who got busted on the local news in Billings, Montana, back in the mid 2000s for being a panhandler. And they asked him, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "Because I make like $500 a day standing on the interstate exit, on ramp or off ramp." Yeah, why? Why would I go work an honest job when I can just panhandle and collect? Back then, $500 a day is a lot of money today in 2025. We're talking like 2006 or 7. He was doing this.
Well, that's a lot of money.
He was killing it. He was practically a lawyer with none of the work. Esoterica Unbound. It's not just a coincidence that this nonsense occurred during Pride Month. The mental patients who make up an increasing fraction of our society need to parade, and pride parades have become unfashionable. Maybe it is just like a parade of a different sort. We need to parade about something. This is the new way to do it.
Yep.
I'm CIA. I thank you for tuning in.
Fed.
Enrichment is not the main hurdle to making a nuke. Iran does have the right starter material, and the needed technical expertise, but this is not how to do it. I don't know their capabilities. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Israeli intelligence is saying they're right there. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't even know you'll be shocked to learn. If you want to know how to engineer a nuclear bomb, I can't tell you. Not something I know how to do. But yeah.
I'm sure you can look that up on the internet.
There's got to be some website that tells you. Yeah. Esoterica Unbound. The problem with Padilla is that every Democrat now seems to think they are a black woman with all the oratory privileges that are supposed to derive from being so. That's true. Only LaMonica can do things like that. Although even LaMonica's on trial for her hammer punching now, or she will be.
It's so bad being a black here in America, yet everybody wants to claim my skin color.
Yeah, it's very fashionable, very powerful these days. Esoterica Unbound. We laugh, but Felicia's situation is tragic. I agree. This is the Felicia.
That's a huge bitch.
She's not that old, but her children will be motherless within a decade because we sponsor her bad decisions. That is what government compassion, supposedly, looks like. I agree, and you're right. It lends itself to jokes for sure, but that is a sad situation for a very real family with very real children. that is what government dependence encourages and creates. And you've got people like Amy Klobuchar out there saying, imagine a world where she wasn't able to continue in this situation. The sane people are looking at it and saying, imagine a world where she does continue on this ridiculous track. You're the people condemning her to death, to a slow, awful death.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not that slow. Maybe it'll be pretty immediate any day now.
I mean, that's what, in a world where she's not reliant on government assistance and everything, that's where the family was being able to step in, right? If heaven forbid, if my mother ever got into that situation, I would scold her to no end.
I would hope so.
Yeah, she's gotten to a couple of situations where she didn't ask me and my siblings for help. And then when we found out, it says, Mama, why didn't you just ask us for help? That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Right? We'll help you where we can. Don't, even my sister, we said, don't do that again.
I'm looking ahead to the next one here. Long and distinguished Matt, Josh, if you're still here, he is. Rank the Star Wars movies 1 through 6 minus 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 6. God, okay.
You put 2 above 6?
Now, I know I'm going to be insane and controversial. I don't know how I'm going to rank these, but I will say, and I actually like that this person put episode 1 very high, second in the ranking. And by that, I mean The Phantom Menace, not A New Hope.
Yeah.
Because I likewise think The Phantom Menace is pretty damn good.
See, no, I am right there with you. Because
All right.
I remember watching The Phantom Menace a while, it's like a few years ago. I had fun. Yeah, it has its problems, but if I'm having fun watching a movie, it's pretty up there. 2 fucking sucks, bro.
I actually like the prequel trilogy more than many people do.
No, that's not what I'm saying. The Attack of the Clones,
Yeah.
George Lucas put too much of the romance element in it.
The romance dialogue was trash. I'll give you that.
Yes.
It's god awful at times.
Yeah.
But the thing that people hate about episode 1, as in The Phantom Menace, is mostly Jar Jar. And Jar Jar's very annoying and a pretty pointless character, seemingly. But I know I've talked about this on the stream, so people who've listened to me for a long time, I won't go over it again, at least in detail. But are you aware of the Darth Jar Jar theory?
Yeah, he was supposed to kind of be like Yoda in episode 5.
I buy it 100% that Jar Jar was supposed to be a seemingly clumsy Sith Lord in disguise. It all lines up. Great YouTube videos explaining this theory. So I'm going to go... I don't know. The thing is, I don't watch the original movies enough I need to rewatch them to evaluate them. The prequel trilogy is like more dear to me because it came out when I was kind of in my formative years too. Like when I was a teenager. So I developed a love for them. So I know that people are going to hate me for this, but I'm going to go... oh, man.
What you going to go?
1, 3... And then the rest. Like, the rest are all kind of interchangeable to me. Like, 4, 2, 5, 6. Just throw them all together, because I don't actually hate any of them. But I really do like Phantom Menace and Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. we're going to get off this real quick. I don't have a ranking system. I do put 2 close to the very end, simply because I just didn't like it that much. I also find it funny how I didn't include the sequel trilogies, because...
As in, like, the newest ones with Rey and stuff? Yeah.
7, me and my dad liked. 8 and 9, fucking.
The one with purple, Leia's death sucked. That was purple hair Laura Dern sucked bad. That was 8, was it not? Episode
that was 8.
That's the worst of them all. That one's the worst Star Wars ever made.
Yeah, The Last Jedi it pissed me off. I've never been pissed at a movie before.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay, I know. I'm sorry if I've offended anybody out there. Hopefully not. Purpose of the Ages. All you bigots, that beautiful woman has a valid claim. She's calorie fluid. Some days she identifies as starving. Some days she's an all-you-can-eat buffet. She needs to identify more days as starving, but yeah. Purpose of the Ages also says, if that lady's starving, then I'm a black lesbian trapped in a white man's body, and I demand reparations and a scholarship. Well, Rachel Dolezal made the attempt. It's not that far-fetched. Thank you, sir. Joseph Kankowski, look into Andor. I haven't watched a lot of the Star Wars shows, like the miniseries they've been doing, because Disney has just pissed me off in so many ways that I just have kind of stopped consuming their stuff. I did like The Mandalorian 1 and 2. I watched those. I haven't watched what's the one with the Twi'lek chick that they made? I can't remember.
You talking about Ahsoka?
Yeah, they made that.
Yeah,
and
she's. I'm gonna be a huge nerd real quick. Ahsoka is a Togruta, and
she's
Hera
not a Twi'lek.
No, Hera is a Twi'lek. Ahsoka is a Togruta.
Right? My brother and I used to always call them like the cow dick people or whatever, because they just have cow dicks on their heads.
That's disgusting.
I didn't like The Mandalorian. I saw the first 2 episodes. I was like, wow, this thing is boring as shit. And I think the reason why people praised that when it came out is because it came out right after the sequel trilogy. So of course, it's not a high bar, right? But when
and then there was Rogue One in there too, and Rogue One Rogue One I didn't love, except for the final scene with Vader was awesome.
Vader was fucking awesome.
And then there was the Han Solo backstory.
That was not awesome.
That one sucked too.
But I did hear Andor is pretty good. They do have a second season that I hear start off shaky, but gets real good in the end. But like you said, I'm just sick of Star Wars. I just don't care.
I love Star Wars. I haven't played a lot of video games lately, but over the last year, I found time to play the latest. What's the name with the Cal Kestis games? How have I already forgot the name of it?
Cal Kestis, Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, Jedi. I played Survivor.
Order,
Survivor is the second one, right? It was
I believe so.
Fallen Order and then Jedi Survivor. So I just finished up Jedi Survivor, and of course I'm playing on easy because like ain't nobody got time for stressful video games in your life anymore. But I just kind of like the story.
Or Elden Ring for you?
Yeah, I don't do hard. I don't like to rage at video games and spike my controller anymore. I need to relax when I'm playing. So
I can't hear shit talk. I play Minecraft all day. So
yeah, so I'm over that. But yeah, that's like the only video game I played in the last year is Survivor, and then the stuff I play with my son that's just like kids games, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, those are all our chats. We're good on Rumble. We're good on Odyssey. Anything else you want to say before we're out of here?
No, that's all I got. I could complain about the Star Wars thing. Oh, I will say this real quick. I know people are also going to hate me. I didn't find Jar Jar that annoying. I actually like his species. It's my third favorite species. So you have the Gungans, which is what Jar Jar is.
Yeah, what is the ranking of the species?
Okay, so well, of course you got humanity, because humanity first.
They're your favorite in Star Wars, the humans?
Well, not in Star Wars. The Wookiees rank number 1.
Okay.
The Rhodians rank number 2. The Gungans rank number 3. And then there's everybody else.
Do the droids count as a species, or are they just droids? They're not biological.
I like the astromech droids because I think they have a cool design, right?
You know what else I loved about Episode 1? I should go on. It's not just Darth Jar Jar. Darth Maul is one of the greatest villains of all time. Unfortunately, cut down too soon. But maybe not. I know there are theories about that too.
No, there's not even theories. Dave Filoni did that 2008 Star Wars. They brought him back.
Yeah, there's like, was that a fan fiction thing that they did or what?
No, that's canon now.
Oh, okay, so that's legit. But the other thing,
the stupidest thing ever.
The other thing I loved about that was introduced in Episode 1, I love the what's the term for them? The battle droids that roll around and they.
Oh, droidicus.
Yes. Yeah. Loved that. And the reason Episode 1 just sticks with me so much too is because that came out. Did you ever play the game Jedi Power Battles?
No.
On PlayStation 1, man. My good friend of mine and I, like when we were in 5th grade or something, 6th grade, we would stay up all night playing Jedi Power Battles. And that was back in the day, like PlayStation 1, when video games, I mean, they weren't online. Video games were hard, very hard to complete. And so the challenge of actually getting to the end and defeating Darth Maul in Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles was like a trial of my youth.
Man.
Me and my best friend staying up all night drinking cherry Cokes and eating frozen pizzas, trying to defeat. And you know how video games used to be, where like you run out of lives, you got to do the whole damn thing over again.
The whole thing over.
Yeah.
I remember, that reminds me of a video game called Centipede that I played. It belonged to my mom. And on the final boss, I did everything about it. I finally beat it because I was like, I'm just getting my ass kicked. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our Star Wars discussion here.
It's the most goddamn faggy thing you ever seen.
I know. It was requested. All right. We're going to call it there. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Thanks to our live chatters and super chatters for making the live show a success. If you're listening on demand later, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thanks to Justin Nazaroff at Phoenix Ammo for joining us. Find the Phoenix Ammo X account linked in the description. Come for the ammo. Stay for the memes. PhoenixAmmo.com. Phoenix with an F. Ammo.com. Thanks to Joshy Boy for sitting in tonight. Thanks to producer Tim for his continued assistance, including keeping me in touch with the latest breaking news on the weird Minnesota assassin guy, the police cosplayer with the latex mask, brought to justice. If you'd like to find more to listen to, check out the podcast page of my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/podcasts. Got everything available there. Anything else show-related, mattchristiansenmedia.com is where you find it, or mattis.gay if you prefer brevity. I'm back, of course, on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Have a great night and a great week.
All right. Good night.